Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. My name is Ben Errington, and I'm joined today by regular co-host, Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, Ben. It's nice to be back from my travels. How have you been?
From your travels, where have you been? Have you been to Romania by the way of Turkey?
I tell you what,
Been
Ben,
to any big battles?
I did, but there was an ever such difficult sea crossing on the way back. It would almost be. I'm going to skate over it now, but in years to come, there'll be a deleted chapter just about that.
Yeah, about your travels.
Yeah, about my
Interesting.
travels. But
Well,
yeah, it's been lovely doing the pre-Christmas rounds. But and it was nice to see you in person.
yeah, we did see each other in person. It's becoming more of a regular thing, which
Yeah,
is nice. To get a good sniff of you as well
yeah. We
as.
have a little walk around Bristol City Centre in the rain, and we saw went to
Oh,
see the
wow.
video store. We had a lovely time.
Yeah, maybe that's something we can mention then. We took a little visit to 20th Century Flicks in Bristol, like a video store, rental store slash cinema, tiny, tiny cinema. There's one screen which has got like four seats, another one which like, I don't know, like 12, 15 seats.
Yeah, it's nice. It's ever so nice. And that member of staff that was in there just between bookings was very kind to let us have a proper little
Yeah, let us have a
nosy
serious
about.
peruse. Oh, straight in there. Like, I want to have a look in this room. Let's have a look. There we
And to be
go.
clear, everyone that's listening, like we didn't burst in with like horror hangout press credentials going, excuse me,
No.
yeah, podcast of over 300 episodes. Let us get in here and have a quick
We
look
didn't
around,
mention it
shall we?
once. We didn't
No,
mention
didn't
it
even
once.
speak about it. We
We could
just
have
like,
said,
can we have a look? As far as we knew, just
we
Joe
actually
Public. They're
do a
like,
little
do you want to look?
podcast.
They were very
No.
nice about it. It was lovely. It was good to have a look around. Love to see all of the mountains and mountains of VHS tapes that are available.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely loads. And apparently, these VHS tapes were kept, and most of them were replaced by DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, but obviously all physically kept. But yeah, I mean, I could have stood there and looked at the wall of VHS for hours because and it was all in alphabetical order as well.
Ever so neat and tidy. Very
Ever
good.
so neat and tidy. I hope someone doesn't come and ruin that situation for them because
Doing the
they had
thing
it.
when you're a teenager, it's like, oh, I'm just going to play Crash Bandicoot.
Oh no.
That's not that disc isn't in there. What's in this? SmackDown versus Raw 2022? No, 2022. Like,
2022,
oh, so I'll
2000.
just go to that case then. Hang on.
You've stitched yourself right up.
Pyro 2, Ripto's Revenge.
Laziness. So you have gained back mere seconds of your life by being lazy, and you've screwed future you to such a degree that minutes of their life can be taken off.
Real life horrors.
True real life horrors. And you know what? As an adult, I've been guilty of doing that once or twice. Not as far back as like 5 or 6 games. I'm talking like one or two. And yeah, it makes me very mad. It's something that
Angry with yourself.
if somebody else did it, I'd be like, ah, you absolute wrong and
Get out me house.
disrespect, get at me ass. But if I do it, I go, well, let him off.
If your daughter did that, grounded.
Grounded.
Sometimes you just go
Yeah,
in and check
that wouldn't work, I don't
any
think.
any other media. Just have a look in that. It's in the wrong case.
In the wrong bloody case.
No, no pocket money for you. I'm afraid, SARS.
Soz. Yeah, I don't think she'd abide by that. But yeah, 20th Century Flicks, as well as being a video shop, they do also have screenings of various films at the IMAX, which is in the Bristol Aquarium, where, of course, Forbidden Worlds Film Festival takes place as well. So not just horror films, but sort of like other genre films, and then some more like mainstream stuff that they show as well. Yeah, which is cool. It's good to see a place like that existing on my doorstep. Kind of weird that I've never been there before. I think it's always somewhere where I walk past, and it's always at a time of day where like it's not open. Um, so we were lucky.
It was so nice to go in there, and I think going in there, as much as I would really love an excuse for us to go and do and have a screening there, gather some like-minded people together and watch a film in there. But the other thing it's made me come away with is an even greater determination to one day get to the appropriate part of Canada to go to Kev's video store as well.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, yeah. That
A
would be
little
superb.
pilgrimage over there, that'd be great.
A little pilgrimage to Kev's video shop, definitely.
Go in there and say,
Um,
like one copy of Time Cop, please, and then head home.
and then
All the
head
films are
home, and then the
available.
late fees would be astronomical. Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of horror news, on top of that, nothing else to cover, is there, before we get into
No,
horror
just the
news?
horror news.
Just our news, mate. The one thing I wanted to talk about is that there is a Jurassic Park survival. I'm calling it a survival horror game. Dave described it as an action adventure game, but I'm clinging onto the fact it's got survival in the title. Jurassic Park Survival. There's a trailer for it which debuted at the Game Awards this week. It looks like a first-person game that takes place immediately after the events of the first film. Sorry. She's like, "Oh, I've been left behind." I'm like, "How does that happen? How does that happen in Jurassic
You know
Park?"
it
There's
is though, Ben. You're really
big old
stuck into your
storms.
work sometime. You'll be
Yeah, but
finishing a bit up. Oh, I've just finished this. You
the
look up.
power went out. Dennis Nedry shut everything down. I like to think that she slept in, you know,
Yeah. The
slept
power
in
went
for
off,
3 days.
and then she woke up like the mom and dad in Home Alone, and the alarm. It's just your clock's just flashing
The
zero.
alarm. This is something that, like, a game like this has been rumored in some way, shape, or form for ages. How many times have you seen like a proof of concept or like a sort of or a trailer, and it's like, forget Dino Crisis, forget Jurassic Park. Here's a first-person survival horror dinosaur game. Um, and unfortunately, these games haven't sort of made waves or sort of been that great. I can't even think of one as a title, unfortunately. Um, I don't think we ever got like a updated version of Two Rock either, did we? Two
Throughout
Rock.
the dinosaur, they made it as far as like PS2, Xbox, GameCube.
Yeah.
Turok Evolution. They ran a competition where if you changed your name to Turok for a year,
Oh yeah.
you got a moderately good prize. I think.
You got moderately good. You got a copy of the game. Brilliant. I didn't
Yeah.
like it, but now I'm stuck with this name. Um, so yeah, the trailer it's quite a cinematic trailer. You only really get like a couple of little flashes of what could potentially be gameplay. But if they are going to properly dial down on the horror element of Jurassic Park, which exists, especially in that first film, I think we're in for a good time. There's a lot of like dinosaurs lurking in shadowy hallways. There's a lot of callbacks to the original film where we get like a close up of a freezer door where we know a velociraptor is
Is
trapped. It
we see
seems like
that
a lot of
Dilophosaurus is about again, isn't he? Or she
Dilophosaurus is
actually.
about.
They're all over the
They're all
place.
bloody ladies, aren't they? They go to lift up the dinosaur skirts, as Ian Malcolm once said. Don't think I'm being inappropriate. And it all seems to be taking place like at night as well. Obviously, the storm's still raging on, so loads of potential stuff. I know we've kind of seen this before with the Telltale Jurassic Park. We kind of saw the events.
I've never played that one because it only came out on PC, didn't it? It didn't get a console release, as far as I'm
I think it did
aware.
get a console release
Did it?
eventually.
Didn't
Yeah,
have it on the
that's what I played
Xbox. I
on.
had it. Maybe it was was it like delisted after a while or something like that? I think
Possibly,
I
yeah,
missed the boat on it.
possibly. I never had a hard copy of it. Um, but yeah, it was kind of like that, like in and around the events of the film and also afterwards. Um, but yeah, I'm super super hyped for this. I've got my fingers crossed it's going to be something real good. I think of everything at the Game Awards, and there was loads of announcements, trailers, and obviously loads of interesting other news bits and little cool things. Obviously, a new Hideo Kojima game, some God of War DLC, God of War Ragnarok DLC. This was by far the thing that made me go, "What's this?
Oh yeah,
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park
Park.
survival horror?"
I know it's not a new IP even for games, but like something that's, I guess, a different approach to what we've had before. It makes it interesting. And I shouldn't say this as a consumer that wants things to be brilliant, but dinosaurs, especially Jurassic Park, the reviews of this come out 7 out of 10. I'd still buy it. I'd be like, yeah,
Yeah. Oh
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
On.
exactly. That's the thing. I'm not expecting a 10 out of 10 game. I mean, obviously that would be lovely. But if it comes out and I mean, it's one of those games I'm going to play regardless, I think. So, um, yeah, I don't think there was really much else like horror focused at the Game Awards. I know Alan Wake 2 won big in some categories, but I've not got around to playing that yet. I would
I
like to
haven't
though.
caught up with the Game Awards, to be honest.
No.
It's a lot of advertising for.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the YouTube stream, and there were adverts within adverts. It was
Yeah.
advertception. Like an advert would play on the Game Awards, and then a YouTube ad would also play.
So did
And I
you
was
watch it
like,
live as well? So
no, 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 I
about to
didn't.
say, can you imagine? I'm not
I
sure I
watched
had
it
the
back.
mental fortitude to deal with the level of adverts on YouTube plus that, and if you're watching it live, also horrid commentary.
Yeah,
Wenger out. No, he's already gone. Stop saying
he's
it.
already gone years ago. The other thing that was kind of interesting with the Hideo Kojima game called OD. Um, Obviously, we don't know much about it. Jordan Peele is involved, so obviously a big name in the
Wow.
horror verse.
Does it
Um,
stand for oh dear?
oh dear,
That's
you'd
what you
never
might
guess
say.
what.
That's like the polite British society version of Nope.
Nope. Oh
Yeah, where something
dearie
terrible happens,
me.
people go, "Oh dear."
Yeah. But yeah, it looks it's possibly going to be like some sort of cinematic, possibly a scary thing. I don't really know. They didn't really say horror, but I think the tagline was like for all players and screamers or something like that. And a lot of people are digging into it already and saying, "Look at this. This confirms that this is Silent Hill." Um, but probably not actually Silent Hill, but maybe like he's taken some ideas from Silent Hills, which he was going to make, and applied them to this, possibly. And then he's got Jordan Peele involved as well because he's gone, "Look, you're good at horror. I'm Hideo Kojima. Let's get together." And it's mad because I always think when I see pictures of people visiting Kojima Productions, I always just assume they're visiting. But the amount of times that now it comes out, it's like, actually, they're working on something together. Now I'm just looking back at Hideo's Instagram to look at everyone who's ever been there.
Probably having a good reason to visit. It's
Yeah.
nice to be nice and visit people, but
He's like, get
bit
over
of
it. And then he
business and
could,
pleasure.
as soon as you're there, he goes, right, sign this contract. You got to do a project with me, mate. Um, apart from that, and another piece of gaming news is that Doom celebrated its 30th anniversary. Again, something that maybe you wouldn't call horror, you'd still call it action shooter or something, but it's definitely got horror elements.
It's got bloody demons in it. Come
Got
on.
bloody demons and stuff. I watched the Doom 30th anniversary live stream on the with like the id Software guys, so like John Romero and Jonathan Cormack, John Cormack,
Yeah.
Carmack, sorry. And it was good, loads of stuff that I've definitely heard before in anecdote form, but still, like, I love the fact that they kind of never they used to not really speak and not get on, and now they've just gone, you know what, we made one of the greatest games of all time, should we just be mates?
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what's
Turns
happened.
out we
So
all still earn quite a lot of money from it, so
we're absolutely,
we're all right.
yeah. And I think John Romero released something called Sigil 2 as well, which is like some sort of maybe like spin-off of Doom, maybe not officially like in name, but he's used some elements of the original source code, possibly. I don't know. They were talking about it, so I need to find out a little bit more about that. But yeah, 30 years. Do you remember where and on what platform you played Doom for the
Yeah,
first time?
I was at some sort of computer shop with my dad, and he let me get it was in a little cardboard sleeve, the original floppy disk of the 3.5
Oh.
um floppy that was the shareware version of Doom that had the first chapter in it that you
Oh
could
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
take it and install it. And I took that home and I played it. So how old am I? Yeah, probably was when it first came out.
When
That
it
was
first
like
came out,
so like 30 years old. So it would have been about would have been 10. That would probably been fine.
yeah.
I would have been playing through that on the PC, got that installed, and then I think I had the full game of Doom 2 before I got all of Doom 1. I was
Mm.
playing that shareware version for a while.
Yeah. I think it was a little bit later because I think, yeah, I was only like
So I'm
7
significantly older than
when
you.
it came out. Well, not significantly. It's not significant in the grand scheme of things, mate. We're pretty close. If I
Yeah.
was 86 and you were 90, we'd be, you know what? No one would be, they'd be like splitting hairs.
Yeah.
I think I played it first. There used to be this like, I want to say like a big truck with computers in it. They used to just go to schools and like to various places like that, and they used to be able to just play games on this thing. And it's a weird memory. I need to try and confirm it, but I think it was after school as well. So like this kind of big truck which you kind of got in the back of. It sounds
So you're
dodgy.
saying there's a big vehicle that comes around and says, "Yeah, kids, get in the back of this. I got some computer games." You
Yeah.
flocked in there.
Well, the thing is, I did flock in there. I'm pretty sure it was legit. But at the same time, now I'm thinking about it even more. I think it was some sort of like youth program, and it was like it was in the car park of like a youth center or something like that.
Okay, in the
Well,
car
I don't
park of a
think it
youth
was.
centre. That's good.
That sounds a bit better than that. I don't think
You're
it
trying to think back. How thick was the knit on that guy's jumper? How thick were his glasses?
And I remember like there were a few games you could play. There was like an adventure game where you kind of like just obviously just typed in whatever and it reacted, and obviously that was cool because we type in rude stuff. But yeah, there was a version of Doom on there, and I think I'd definitely seen it before, but it was the first time I got to play it. Yeah, and I was just pretty much set on it, just like this is amazing. I guess maybe it was like 95, maybe the first time I played it, so a couple of years after it came out. But then I got when we got our first like PC in the house, so like first family computer, I got like a CD-ROM with like maybe Doom 1 and Doom 2 on it, and that was the first time I played both. Um, but yeah, obsessed, obsessive.
Doom, such a. I was never a particularly good modder. Like I did some messing around with the map maker, making Doom wads, and I had loads of the edits that you could get as well, like the total conversions to make it like
Mm.
Simpsons Doom or South
Yeah,
Park Doom
yeah,
or running around like the same maps from Doom, but you're like shooting Mo and things like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good times, man. Good times. And I would say I was never like great at it. I think I always kind of struggled with the early Doom games, and especially like um I guess Doom 2. So, but I think I've played every iteration. Like I really enjoyed Doom 3 when it came out, despite the like mixed reviews, and it was a bit of a different sort of experience, wasn't it? Um, and then of course 2016's Doom and Doom Eternal are just probably up there as like the best
I
first
think I've
person
played
shooters.
every version of Doom. There's a couple of blind spots. I never finished the Seeds of Evil
Oh
DLC
yeah.
to Doom 3. I need to finish the Doom Eternal DLC as well.
Oh yeah. That's pretty much that's unforgiving, man.
And
It's
I've never and I might
unforgiving.
have to turn the difficulty down because it was brutal. But
Yeah.
and then other than that, like now it's out on modern consoles. I even started Doom 64, which I never had on the originals. I've not finished that yet, but that's just
Yeah, Doom
available and accessible
64,
now.
yeah.
Always got some time for
Yeah.
Doom. And I loved its ilk that went with it as well. I played a lot of Heretic and Hexen. I mean, at the time, growing up
Yeah.
when you're a tiny kid, I think that was the good thing. Before it was also tied into, it was really very much a single player experience. When I was too young to really have the skill set or the patience for being stuck in things and not being able to do stuff, I used to just walk around Doom, had all the
Yeah.
cheats on, so there was no challenge to it whatsoever. I was just like milling about, like put all the guns on, walk into rooms and just wipe everybody out. But yeah, very formative gaming.
Hell yeah. One experience. And it's crazy to see like even pretty much every like first person shooter you play now, like the DNA of Doom is like always
Always all
present in a
over
way.
them.
And if it's not present, you know, and you feel like, oh, come on, this.
And I feel like we've had a
Right?
come back to it towards it now because I think Doom was definitely the era of the tropes where you'd have more weapons on you than anyone could actually ever physically carry, and you're just flipping between them. And then we had a period with your Call of Duties and your Halos where you can carry two things and you've got to make strategic choices as to what you're
Yeah.
carrying. And I think now maybe we had a little shift back towards the Doom
Yeah.
model as well now, where you've got everything
You've
that
got
you
it
can
all.
go through.
Come on.
You're trying to play a fun game.
Trying to play a fun game. Don't really need six inventory slots like original Resident Evil. Come on now. I mean that is pretty much it. All I've got for horror news,
Tell you
I
what, one
guess.
more nod to horror news because this
Come
is
on
what I'll
then.
be talking about next week. You know what's got its release up and down the country this
Oh
this week or
yes.
so?
Think I know.
Godzilla minus one, everybody. At time of recording, I plan to go and see it this weekend on Friday,
Oh
maybe Friday night.
yes.
Godzilla minus one. The reviews for it are spectacular. Other
Mm.
people that I follow and trust, I was listening to Weekly Planet this last week now, talking that they just seen it, not big Godzilla fans themselves, and saying, yeah, it's really good. So I'm really excited to go and see a lovely bit of Godzilla minus one.
Hell yeah. I'm probably gonna go see it this weekend as well, I think. Just because, yeah, the review. I'm too tempted by the reviews, and after that Godzilla versus Kong trailer as well, that got me kind of like back into the mindset of wanting to go and see some big monsters,
I've got a
kaiju, have a
couple of episodes to catch up
big
on
old fight.
actually of
Monarch, yeah,
Monarch.
still
I've
haven't
seen the
started that.
first three. It's really good. It's really, really good.
I need to start it. But yeah, looking forward to all that stuff. Yeah, in terms of what we've been watching, I've not really watched all that much this week because um what have I been doing? I think I've been watching some sports. Um mainly football.
Real life horrors,
Real life
the
horrors.
tension
That
horrors of, is your football team going to score more soccer
is your
points or
football team
less?
doing well? No, they're not, which means upset. I've been doing that. I've been playing some games. Returnal. I've got the platinum trophy on. That's a serious grind. That was.
That's brutal.
That's the biggest grind I've ever done on a game to get a trophy. But like, I'm like, I'm too far into it now. Now I realize what I have to do in order to get it. I need to do it. So I mean, yeah, not. I guess there are some sort of horror elements to that, especially in terms of like the story as well, and like how the story rounds up. It's definitely like a sci-fi horror experience. So if you haven't played that, definitely give it a go. But in terms of watching things, I've not seen that much. I've seen. Oh, I did watch the documentary Grizzly Man last night, despite the fact that again, that's not particularly horror. There's definitely some horrifying
I tell you what's
elements.
horrible, Ben. Being
Yeah.
killed and eaten by a bear.
Get killed and eaten by a bear, and there being an audio clip somewhere of it happening, and you
Yeah,
can
I
listen.
know you can find that without looking too much. I haven't done that myself. Have you been tempted?
What fan? No, no, I haven't. But now you've said it, I don't know.
No, I'm not
But yeah,
challenging you. This isn't like bloody dare you, Ben.
how
Have a
bloody dare
listen to
you to
this
go check
horrible
it out?
thing.
Because the director Werner Herzog, he does listen to the audio in the film and like says, "That's horrible. That is."
Yeah.
There's no like, um. So yeah, I can imagine it being pretty horrific. There's some horrible moments in that film though, but it's a really well made docu. I'm guessing you've seen it, Andy.
Yeah, many years ago
Yeah,
now, but
yeah, I definitely
it's a,
seen it before.
it's a nice it's a nice story of what was, I guess, quite a complicated, in many ways, quite a vulnerable guy
Yeah,
who, you know, obviously really loved what he did and then met a very unfortunate end, which I think it's a shame that that maybe is what people know of him versus all the time that he did spend. Because some of the footage that he has, like, you know, when he's camping out and there's that fox that just comes to see him, like,
yeah. I feel like you could have a documentary about his relationship with those little foxes as well.
yeah.
Very
But
lovely.
an incredible life, but like incredibly like dangerous
Yeah.
and then sad as well at parts. But
How
yeah,
could
it
you have a
is
good? I don't
horror.
understand how you could have a good night's sleep thinking there could literally be a bear ready to come and tear your skin off your face
Yeah.
at any point. So yeah, what a brave. Well, I say what a brave soul. What a brave soul. But he did meet an untimely end, and that's not a spoiler. I don't think. I think it's
No, I think it's well known, right? I think it's straight up from the top that this was a man whose life was dedicated to those animals and did die.
mm, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I've not really seen much else this week. Have you seen anything? I know you've been
Um,
busy, been on your travels.
a couple of little bits that's happening. One, I'm going to go back through the annals of time a little bit because I don't think I mentioned it at the time. I'm going to mention it briefly. I think you can still catch it. A couple of about a month ago now, Ben, I took a trip to the theatre to see Mina's Reckoning. Did I tell you about this on pod?
Oh, I don't think you did. You know.
So, Mina's Reckoning is a dramatic retelling of the story of Bram Stoker's Dracula from Mina's perspective.
Right, okay.
And is it an entire? If it's not an entire, it's a predominantly female cast, including the roles of Dracula and all of the other traditionally male characters like
Hmm.
Jonathan Harker
Okay.
and so on, all played by female actors,
Oh wow.
centered around the asylum that Dr. Seward runs, and then retelling the story. No spoilers. I believe it may still be touring the country. If not, watch out for it coming around again. It's really good. It's
Hmm.
funny in places. It's a nice different angle on it, and it efficiently tells the same story that you know of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but with a little twist to it. It's
Is
very
it like
good.
a Scot? Is it like a particularly Scottish twist? Is that?
Now I couldn't tell you whether it is a Scottish production everywhere it is, or I just happened to watch it in Edinburgh where we have a
Yeah.
Scottish cast. But
Well, I was thinking. I think it does say a uniquely Scottish version
in
of
that
the
case, it
Bram
is a
Stoker
uniquely
classic.
Scottish version wherever you go and see it. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. If you get the chance to see it, whether it's touring where you are, I forget we have people listen to us in other countries as well. It may come and tour where you are quite soon. If not,
Yeah.
see if any videos get done and it gets
Yeah. Sounds great.
released to watch virtually. It's really good. Really enjoyed it, and especially rewatching this film today.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess it
yeah,
gave you a new.
a nice reminder of those bits that I enjoyed and what was the same and what was different. But it's a nice telling of that story. Um, Other than that, Christmas films have crept in a little bit. I did watch a film about a young boy who is trapped by unfortunate circumstances in his house all by himself when two hardened men, criminals, come in to try and bloody burgle him.
That's horrible.
Yeah, but don't worry, you can set some traps for them, and in the end, ultimately, they get smashed in the head by a man who is mistaken for a serial killer with a snow shovel,
Yeah.
and he rescues him. And I did spend a little while thinking, that old man must have helped him clean up his house all
Yeah.
night. Must have pulled an all-nighter to like scrape the tar off the stairs, hoover
Yeah.
up all those
You helped me tidy up
feathers.
my house as well. There's a really dark moment in that film as well when they finally catch him, when they literally just say, "We're gonna kill him. We're
Yeah,
gonna murder you.
you're
We're
gonna
gonna bite each
smash
one of
his
your
face
fingers,
with an iron.
smash his face with an iron, put a nail in his foot, and bite off each one of his fingers one by one." A real dark moment where I think even as a
Yeah,
kid, like I used to be like, "Oh no,
they're gonna get him.
they're gonna get him."
Um, and then thankfully they get battered by the old man with the snow shovel, and then they
Yeah.
clean up that entire house except for his brother's room.
Yeah, fuck his brother. Yeah, he don't. Yeah, I mean, Buzz can just get screwed, can he?
Yeah, each hit buzz. So I watched that, and a couple of other Christmas things which are not relevant here, but two things. One, you've conjured his name already. Not a necessarily horror project, but because of that anniversary selection that came out recently, been playing original recipe Metal Gear Solid, Ben.
Oh, lovely, lovely stuff.
Playing through that again. I mean, horror elements there. You've got like the Psycho Mantis boss. It's one of those games I'm finding that it's absolute muscle memory in that
Yeah,
I
the
think it will
ghost.
get harder as I get to the back end of the game. I'm just about to fight the helicopter, but everything so far, it's like through it,
Indeed.
round this corner.
What did you ever find like the ghosts in that game? Did you ever
Yeah, I
bother doing
played
that? You
that
did.
through and through
You
and
did
through. I
it?
couldn't tell you whether you all are, but I
No.
played through Metal Gear multiple times.
Yeah.
Unlocking the bandana and the stealth, getting the camera, finding the thing, finding the ghosts. I played a lot of it.
Amazing.
So I've
What a
started that
classic,
again.
eh?
But the
Yeah.
final thing, after I guessed a few weeks ago, Chris, he recommended it to us. I got stuck in on the reality version of horror adjacent property, Squid Game.
Which version did you say? The what?
So the actual reality show
Oh, the
version of it,
reality
which
version. Yeah,
just
that's me thinking you're over there out there playing Squid Game for real.
yeah, just turning my
Yeah,
back.
so
If
what's
people
it
are
called?
moving when I turn around, shoot them dead.
Just shoot him dead. Squid Game The Challenge, is that
Yeah,
right?
Squid Game the challenge. I've watched it all. I mean, the biggest shocker. Someone mentioned this to me, and I was like, "No, that can't be true." Apparently, it was. Wolf from Gladiators was in it.
Yeah, I said that to you.
Yeah, that was
I
it. It
said
was you that told
it
me. I
was
just
him. He was in it as well.
out of context because it was in real life, and I was like, "Oh, is it?"
I told you
Yeah,
that, and you were like, I haven't seen him. And I was like,
yeah.
I couldn't remember if I just made it up.
Apparently, he went out in the first like the red light, green light thing, so we never got any
Never
camera
got to
time.
see him. I also heard rumors that the red light, green light thing, like rather than being like red light, red light, green light, apparently between lights, it was like 45 minutes or something.
That's what I heard. Someone told
So,
me that yesterday. A friend told
yeah.
us.
So, like, weird to think that you're watching it an edited version and then thinking, yeah, I could do that. Piece of piss, no problem. And
Yeah.
then
And there's
45
one
minutes.
particular bit where they pause, and for some reason, in getting ready to stop, one of the women that's running kind of goes into like a squat position,
Oh,
and
Jesus.
then he's like,
Oh,
"Ugh."
no. It's like, I'm just going to get into a lovely plank because that's nice. Everyone enjoys that. I could
Yeah.
hold this plank for ages. Oh,
I
no,
haven't read
actually.
into why they did it for that long. Was it because they wanted to eliminate more people, or was it just a
I don't know.
technical part of the filming?
I really don't know. I do want to watch it. I do want to check it out because I did watch the actual show, and I just feel like the reality element of it is probably going to be kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
no spoilers, but they do a very good job, I think, of it for a TV show that we're used to seeing in the in the scripted version, which is people actually get killed in this, and that like obviously
Hmm.
this is a game. They'll be sad because they've lost the money, but everyone's ultimately fine.
Yeah.
Um, they do very well at putting in a lot of tension and a lot like the scripted version. Do you argue it's manipulative of actual people? But there are people that you're in there, you go, fucking hate you, or like, I want them to
Hey,
do really well. And
I
then
hope
like,
you
yeah,
get bloody Squid Gamed.
yeah, I hope you get Squid Games
Yeah,
right out the gate. Um, yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
definitely gonna
And
check it out.
not a spoiler, but they do end the series with a casting call for another one. So
That's pretty much what the real series did as well, right?
yeah, it's like, do you want to be
Like
on
the
this?
real one kind of went, hang on a minute, it was the end. No, it's not.
Do you want to be
Uh,
in? Yeah, they do a casting call for a new one. But yeah, really, really good, really entertaining. But that is all I've watched,
yeah.
apart from the
Um,
film of the week.
apart from the film of the week, and again, another another film on this podcast where I'm thinking, how is it taking us this long to get around to watching this? For the podcast, of course. But I guess it's because we've done a couple of versions of Dracula, haven't we?
Yeah,
Hammer horror versions and yeah, and stuff and other stuff like inspired by the character and including characters from the novel. Obviously, we've done Van Helsing um as well. So yeah, today's film is Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is a 1992 American vampire horror film produced and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Coppola.
Coppola.
Coppola. Written by James V. Hart, but he didn't write Dracula. It's Bram Stoker, wasn't it? Based on the 1897 novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. It stars Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, Richard E. Grant, Cary Elwes. How do you say his name? Guy from Saw. Billy Campbell, Sadie Frost, and Tom Waits. Forgot Tom Waits in this. That's like a fever dream. Set in 19th century England and Romania, it follows the titular vampire, Dracula, who falls in love with Mina Murray, the fiancée of his solicitor. Jonathan Harker. Sounds like a bloody Jeremy Carr scenario.
Episode of EastEnders. There's a
I've
lot of
got
Jeremy
involved with the
Kyle
bloody
in this.
fiancée of my solicitor. I've fallen into it. When Dracula begins terrorizing. Wait, I don't think I need to say anything else actually. Um, but obviously Van Helsing is in it, played by Anthony Hopkins. Jonathan Harker is Keanu Reeves. Renfield, played by Tom Waits. Yeah, I mean, a
They
very
have,
heavyweight cast
yeah, they have cast the shit out of this
of
film. I guess
actors.
like the prestige of Francis Ford Coppola. I guess if they want to
Yeah,
do like Francis Ford Coppola doing such a well-known and beloved story as Dracula, I bet he was bloody beating him off with a stick, wasn't he?
I bet he was beating him off with a stick. But yeah, because think about it, like Gary Oldman, this is Gary Oldman about around the time of, I was going to say Leon, but it's a couple of years before that. Winona Ryder around about the time of uh, Edward Scissorhands. Anthony Hopkins around about the time of Silence of the Lambs. Keanu Reeves around about the time of Point Break. Richard E. Grant had he done with Nell and I a few years before, like 5 years before. Sadie Frost, I guess one of her first roles,
It
I
says
guess.
introducing Sadie Frost in the credits,
Introducing.
so it must be her first one, like one of her first big roles.
Yeah. And I mean the cast really lends itself to like the real epic, what feels like a huge budget sort of telling of this story. And I guess like a lot of people will probably think of this as like one of the definitive versions of the story because it's a lot more sort of follows the book a lot more than the other films which kind of like focus on Dracula as like the scary, ghouly, blood-sucking man, whereas this
Yeah, the
kind of
Bela Lugosi version of him, right? That people I think who follow cinematic tellings probably are very familiar with from the Hammer versions
yeah.
and
And this like
before
tries to
even.
give him more of a human side, more of like a tragic backstory, um, and it's a tale of love, it's a tale of loss and lust and longing in a way, all the L words. And Gary Oldman as Dracula has more looks in this than I reckon like Britney Spears at the height of her power
Yeah.
in terms of costume
It's like
changes
a
during
bloody
one of her
Taylor Swift
tours.
concert, isn't it? He's doing all sorts of changes.
So what have we got? We have got old right, beardy Dracula
Well, his
in his
original
suit of armor.
recipe, he's chocolate Easter bunny. I know it's meant to be a dragon, but he does look like he's made of chocolate, doesn't it?
He does. It
Inside
looks like he
there,
would melt.
very
Um,
lovely and delicious in there.
Lovely and delicious. Old man with an ass on his head. Um,
Yeah,
Wolf man.
he's a
Uh,
wolfman. He's a
he's a wolfman.
Batman.
He's a Batman. He's like normal looking guy. I say normal, but you know what I mean. Like handsome,
Man
trimmed
about town.
mustache, man about town, lovely, lovely outfit, beautifully tailored suit, and top hat.
There's
Even
poorly when he's on the in the coffin back to
poorly, yeah. So he
Transylvania.
looks like halfway between fully old Dracula, but poorly.
Yeah, he's like
Um,
sweaty. He's like sweaty Dracula.
and is that it? I think that's kind of it,
There's
isn't
pajamas at the end when he pops back out.
it? Pajamas. Oh, pajamas, Dracula. Right, we've
Yeah,
got one more look for you,
got
and
more looks than Barbie.
it's pajamas, Dracula. Oh yeah, way more looks than Barbie. I feel like if he had his own action figure range,
In
there'd
a
be
dream
so
house. Oh, imagine that, like a Barbie dream house, but it's Dracula's castle.
yeah. I'll tell you what, I'd love to get like I reckon a action figure of him in his armor would be pretty cool. It
And then
is
even
that
wrap it in it
armor.
made of, oh, maybe the good people at Lint will make you one. Put a little bell on him, like the bunny.
Is that armor? Does that armor look like it's like design? It's got any flaws design wise? Because I feel like it'd be cumbersome to wear.
I don't know what the material is though, because he looks a bit like sort of Michelin Man. He looks like it could be super padded.
Okay, and is that helmet bit of overkill?
Yeah, I guess it's because he's an order of dragon knights, isn't he? So I'm guessing it's like the he's like a red dragon, not a chocolate bunny. But
He's like a bloody red dragon, yeah. And I don't know how much of it is kind of legit in terms of. I mean, all through this, I can't remember exactly what elements are in the book and what aren't, and also what elements are like true to life. Because I know that obviously Vlad the Impaler did exist. He wasn't a
there he is.
Dracula.
It's behind me.
There he is behind you, looking lovely. Zero, no top lip. That mustache curled to within an inch of its life, tightly wound. But yes, obviously Vlad the Impaler did exist. Um, and yeah, he was involved in loads of bloody wars and battles against the Ottoman Empire, which is like the Turkish Empire. So that all happened in real life. So there is some crossover to this story and the real life of Vlad the Impaler.
And what I would love to learn is, much like in the film, because this is our cold open, right? We get a little bit of Anthony Hopkins narration and saying, "Oh, there was this war," and he goes out and he gives his wife Elizabetha, gives
Yeah,
her a kiss goodbye, and then he goes out and he's chopping them all up out of there, and he's dressed as his Easter Bunny outfit. He's going, "No eggs for you, mate. Chopped." He's getting
chopped
them all.
and impaled. Why do
And
they call
then
you Vlad the Impaler?
I'll show
I
you.
just bloody love impaling.
Unfortunately, though, Elizabetha is in history, maybe, um, one of the earliest victims of fake news. Unfortunately, when that got you in the old days, you didn't just post something that's embarrassing on your
I don't
Facebook
believe you.
page. No, no, copy and pasting this won't stop Facebook from owning all of your pictures, Mom.
What? It
It's not
done?
like that. It's not like that at all. If you get fake news in the old days, what's that? They're not going to fund the NHS if you come out of Europe. No, it's not that. You just get a letter shot through your window, an arrow. I imagine Turkish handwriting saying, "Dear people that live in this house,
But then maybe
Dracula's dead.
Elizabetha,
He's dead. Take it
maybe
from me."
Elizabetha's not received a note from Turkish fellers before, so how's she supposed to know what Turkish
It's just
handwriting
no,
looks
they're
like?
all always up for a laugh.
I thought he was
Always,
going to say, "Oh, we fired a note through and it accidentally hit her in the head because
yeah,
she
and
was
it got her.
too close
Uh,
to the window."
yeah, she was just what's the weather like today? Because there's no weather forecasts
No,
then. Um,
but she believes it straight
she,
up, and this is a Romeo and Juliet type scenario, isn't it? Where obviously
it's a real The Mist situation. Just give it a minute.
just give it a minute, he's on his way back, and she goes, "You know what? I can't live without him. The first thing I'm going to do is sling myself off of
In the,
this."
just sling myself off here into the river that'll somehow make me die with blood coming out of my mouth.
It must have landed on the rocks. I don't know. Rocks. Who knows what happened?
She was screaming as she fell towards the river. Ah, got a rock right in the gob.
Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracula. He comes back. He's had a lovely battle. He's done a love. He's won. He's won the battle.
So I'm tired from all that impaling.
Yeah.
Give us a little rest, and then it'll
I'm
be
tired
lovely
from
to
all
see
of
you
that
again.
impaling. Somebody run me a bath with a lovely bit of matey in it. I want to relax these muscles.
Yeah, get the Radox out.
Get the radar outside. Somebody come and clean my armor. Actually, leave it. The red's kind of just
That's
blended
why I
in.
have it red actually.
That's actually why I have it red. He turns up and obviously immediately finds out that Elizabeth has killed herself, committed
She
suicide.
left a letter though, didn't she? She said,
Can't live without him.
"Soz that Dracula's dead. I am going to kill myself now. Um, hopefully, we'll catch up in heaven. Lots of love, Elizabeth. Jump in the
Yeah.
river."
Hopefully we'll catch up in heaven. Um, and going from a man who's like seems to proper love God, like he says he's doing things for God. He says in the name of God a lot. As soon as he realizes that Elizabeth is dead, and then that there's like a priest who's also played by Anthony Hopkins, says to him, kicks him while he's down as well. By the way, I know your wife's just died, but I must let you know that her soul is damned to hell forever for committing suicide. So she ain't gonna meet you in heaven.
She actually won't.
She actually won't.
Yeah, like I just need to clarify that for you. Per the rules of heaven, like he's like the bouncer. Like it's like it's 1999 all over again, and you've turned up with trainers on. They're like, suicide, is it?
Suicide, yeah, suicide because my love died in a battle and I just couldn't live without him. It's a really nice story, isn't it? When
Yeah.
you think about it, tragic.
If she'd have
Um,
written in that letter, um, the only way I can get over him dying is to go for a really cold swim.
yeah,
And technically, it was death by misadventure. She said, "Oh, it was
it
too
was
cold. She didn't
it
mean
was
to
an
die, though."
accident. Yeah,
So that's all right. Shouldn't have written it down, Elizabeth.
no. And the only way to describe Vlad Dracula's reaction is enraged. He loses his temper. He desecrates the chapel. He renounces God, while this Roman Orthodox priest is like shouting at him as well. Um,
He's like,
and
"Oi, don't wreck it."
And I guess this is similar to Alien Covenant, where just a series of particular a series of coincidences happen to just turn him into the first vampire who lives forever.
So he gets ever so cross, stabs the cross of God slash
Yeah.
Jesus that has a bleed, and he
Why
gets
is it?
his
Why does
gets
it
his
do that
cup.
though? Why does it do that? Is it because he says, "I will"? He shouts. He says, "Like I'll avenge Elizabeth with all the powers of darkness," and then I guess Satan's hears that and goes, "Oh yeah, like that is it?"
Powers of darkness coming right up.
Yeah, and he drinks the blood that comes from it, thus becoming a vampire. Well,
Thus
apparently,
becoming a Dracula.
we're supposed to believe that. Yeah, which is interesting. I'd like to know what the book. I mean, it's been a long time since I read the book, but I'd like to know how the book describes him going from Vlad the Impaler to becoming this beast. And what's it got to do? What's it got to do with bats and rats and
You can turn
wolfmen?
into all of them. He gets all the powers.
Oh, vapor at one point as well.
I mean, to be fair, he's done like a reverse Castlevania because Castlevania games, those who played will know. You start with all your powers, and then something happens, and you lose them all.
Yeah.
Vlad the Impaler has had quite a lot of powers. He's probably in his final form outfit wise with his bunny armor.
Yeah.
And then he gets a ton of powers. Like literally straight away, he doesn't have to do
Right
a
on.
single boss.
It is almost like like how I mean the opposite, like the Castlevania where you just described, is how like the sequel to any major game usually starts because you leveled up in all the first game and you're as strong as you can be. How can you then start a game from level 0 and have to level up again? Something bad happens, you lose all your powers.
Any Metroid game, oh, your suit's fucked. Back to nothing then.
Your suit's fucked. See you later. Um, yeah, and then so all this happens in 1462, by the way. So by the time we get to 1897,
A brief
he's
400 years later.
he's approaching for it. Yeah, and I mean, like, bloody hell, what does he do? Does he just like let himself grow horrifically old until he decides, actually, I'm gonna get in the soil and
Yeah.
sort myself out?
I mean, I guess you've all been there, Ben. You had a bit of a breakup. You let yourself go a bit, didn't you?
Let yourself go, and then suddenly, yeah, but I feel like it would longer than be earlier than
Oh,
than
it's
you
not been
start
that
to
long
look like.
between drinks for Dracula though, because he's got three bloody
Yeah,
nudie
that's
women
true.
about his house.
Maybe it's not I don't know if it's the drinks that makes him turn young. It's like being it's like getting in the soil and having a rejuvenate in the soil.
Yeah. Well, he's getting all those contractors to box up all the soil, isn't he?
Yeah. Why are we boxing up this soil? Don't ask. Don't tell.
But they probably said, "Oh, we'll have this in by summer." He's gone, "All right then," and then before you know it, it's taken them longer, hasn't it?
Bloody hell, they stitched him right up.
He's got ever
Rogue
so old.
traders.
Yeah, get Dom.
Rogue Romanian traders. Yeah, so in 1897, solicitor Jonathan Harker, played by Keanu Reeves, he is basically given Transylvanian Count Dracula as a client because his colleague Renfield, R.M. Renfield, has gone insane and is now an inmate at Dr. Jack Seward's asylum. And we do see a brief, like, little couple of clips of Tom Waits gone nuts talking. It sounds like he's talking gibberish, but of course he's talking about Dracula. He's saying,
Yeah,
like, the master.
Is he mad then? Because a Dracula is real, so he's
A
probably
Dracula is real, but then there's loads of bits of him like eating bugs and stuff. So
yeah.
maybe
Don't do that. He didn't tell you to do that.
now he's just doing whatever he wants and going, Dracula told me to do this. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting around with nothing on my bottom half, completely nude. Dracula actually told me
He's
to
Winnie
do
the
this.
Pooh in it.
He's Winnie the Pooh in it all day long. And Keanu Reeves, I think, yeah. So Keanu Reeves, his performance in this film is one that's kind of criticized. It's probably the main thing that's criticized about this film, as far as I'm aware, anyway. For all the years of knowing, of knowing about this film and seeing this film, and I think he does. He doesn't need to do much more because I think Jonathan Harker, of all the characters, is probably the character who's like fleshed out the least by the script.
Yeah.
He's kind of just there for a bit and then gets abandoned and then comes back into it later.
To be fair, Ben, two wrongs don't make a right, and he does cheat first. But I think he also has the hardest journey back.
Yeah,
And
but he does cheat. But like, are we supposed to think that he's not, like, he's against his will essentially? Like he's being glamored? Is that?
I don't know. I've seen enough talk shows, Ben. Of course he'd say that. Oh,
I've only got to be glamored.
they've bloody hypnotized me. I've been noshed off by 3 vampires.
It's a Jedi mind trick, isn't it? My nipple got what happened to it? It's such a nipple close up. I can't believe I've not even done this yet. Sorry, I feel like we've flying all over the place. I didn't even do the ratings.
Oh my goodness! So that was my fault for going into it. I tell you what, we'll come back to that. So pause right now. That was the prologue. So Dracula goes bloody hell, and then 400 years later. But before that, tell me about the ratings.
Sorry, yeah. So it's got 7.4 on IMDb, 78% critic score, 79% audience score. That's good. 3.6 on Letterboxd. The reason it made me remember this is because this was the first review I write down. All you need to know is that there was like a 30-second close-up shot of Keanu Reeves' nipple being licked. I wonder if it was real nipple or a stunt nipple.
There's definitely a stunt nipple later when Dracula goes, "Yeah, have some blood at me."
Yeah.
So they might have got a job lot on fake nipples.
3.5 stars. That was Kat who wrote that review. Matt Lynch says a truly beautiful sex panic, phantasmagoria, and an unheralded analog technical spectacle. 4.5 stars. That's a good review. Maria says legend has it that Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder actually turned into vampires as they haven't aged since. 3.5 stars. And Krista says imagine being cucked by Dracula. 4.5 stars.
I reckon Dracula's one of the most likely people to cuck a person.
Yeah, exactly. I think
if you're going
to be cucked by anyone, be cucked by someone who could murder you within like a second. He could rip your throat out. He could snap you in half like a twiglet.
Yeah, imagine that though, because we've seen what Dracula gets up to in the bedroom. Worse, if you walk in, absolutely been gone to town on by a big wolfman.
By a big hairy wolfman. Oh, Jesus. Horrible. So yeah, sorry, getting back to the plot, as we said.
Yeah, you were talking about the Keanu Reeves and the criticism. Is it mostly his accent that gets criticized?
I think his accent a bit, because really he is kind of just doing the Keanu Reeves, because we don't know Keanu Reeves well for like being these big over the top characters. He is kind of just doing his thing, and I think it might be the accent, it's the sort of English accent, and the fact he's kind of just got one look on his face pretty much the whole time, to the point where I was like, does he even know that, like, he didn't react in any way. Every time Dracula did something relatively spooky, he never like went, bloody hell, what's going on here? Like when he was crawling up a wall or crawling down a wall, he looked as if he was just watching him walk through the front door.
He's a legal professional. You gotta be able to face the unknown.
Is it because he's just looking at it from a, well, that's ever so strange, incredibly
Yeah,
bizarre.
I I know that legitimately, like it doesn't sound like people sound. I don't know. I didn't live in the 1800s. Maybe that's what people did sound like. But um, I kind of love it. I kind of love it. The bit where he does get a little bit cross with Dracula. He's like, "Now, listen here. I say, I've been chased by a blooming monster through a fire. I've had quite enough of this. Can I just go home, please?" He goes, "No, you shan't. You'll stay here. Write 3 letters.
You stay here
Um,
for bloody ever.
and stay here. And by the way, don't go sleeping anywhere else in the castle." What does he immediately do? Goes out, and before you know it, getting
So
noshed off.
so he does say like you got to stay here for a month, doesn't he? And then obviously Jonathan Harker writes to his fiance,
Yeah,
fiance.
I guess we'll get to it. So we see them leaving in the first. So this is Jonathan Harker goes, and we're like this just before we get to the bit where we see him. I like how it leans into the like epistolary nature of the original story. Those anyone who hasn't read the book of Dracula, and it's been a long time since I have.
Yeah,
Um, the book is entirely constructed of documents. It's like playing a Resident Evil game and finding the files, right? There's
yeah.
excerpts from diaries, there's letters between characters. So it's entirely told, or at least it is entirely told, right?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah,
There's no bits where it's like, and then this just happened in a normal
yeah.
direct
I've just got to fill
narrative.
in the blanks here. And then Keanu
So it's
Reeves'
all
nipple
done.
got licked.
Yeah, so it's all done in this epistolary sort of document style, and I like how we get that lean to it. You know, where Dracula's sending him a letter while we see Keanu Reeves, and it's a good way to pass the time. We see him on his travels between London and Romania saying, "Now, when you come to this country, you're getting this like you should have known he was bad. He was doing the Dracula voice when he was reading the letter. You've written this
Should
in
have
a
known,
spooky
mate. Should have
voice."
bloody known.
Um, and he gets picked up by a cabin, and a big long-armed dogman pulls him
Oh
into the
yeah,
carriage.
that's weird. That was freaky, wasn't it? I wanted to see more from that. Um, yeah, very
And then
creepy.
he gets chased by wolves through the thing. And then it's like the castle. Dracula has like a force field or an ethereal glow. It might just be the
Yeah,
effects of the time.
yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what it was like in Transylvania. It was all like that. Kind of reminded me a bit of like the opening of Beauty and the Beast, Disney
Yeah,
version. It was a bit like that, and it definitely had that sort of vibe, especially when we get into the love story as well. And I know, of course, Dracula is very much its own thing, but again, maybe it's just because I'm very familiar with the versions from like Hammer Horror and how the how the characters portrayed in other things. Like it was, I think this film does a really good job of, yeah, humanizing him. And you could say, well, Dracula doesn't need to be humanized, but like I think at its very essence, especially the key elements of the story are based on him wanting to find his girlfriend, reincarnated girlfriend.
does he expect his girlfriend to be reincarnated, or is he? I think he seems quite
He
surprised
sees
when
a
he sees
photo,
her.
doesn't he? He sees a
Oh, he
photo.
does see the
Yeah.
photo. Yeah, he
So when he
sees the
sees the
photo
photo
and
and he
he
goes,
goes,
hang on a minute, who's this? And Jonathan Harker says, keep your eyes to yourself. That is my fiance. And Dracula says,
that's when he goes,
"Ooh."
right, write 3 letters that say you're going to be. If I write these 3 letters, are you going to use them to for it to take a while to be discovered that I've been captured and being held prisoner because I'm being slurped off by your vampire mates? No, I just want you because you're going to be ever so busy with the legal paperwork I've got you to do, buying
Yeah.
Carfax Abbey. Um, that you just write these 3 letters now. Honestly, get them all done at once, like doing your homework before you. You're not going to see anything interesting here. You're going to have nothing to tell her. Just write 3 letters. Um, and he goes, all right then. And then he checks them. He's like, yeah, now things are going to get weird.
Yeah. And with the brides, the free brides that feed upon him, how come he doesn't turn into a vampire, Jonathan Harker? Is it
Because he
because
doesn't drink
doesn't drink
their
their
blood.
blood? So
So I
they're just
think
like draining him to keep him weak. And by draining him, I mean his blood.
yeah. I mean, it does look it is exactly that. It does look, he looks ever so withered. He's been wanked off to within an inch of his life. And he's had his blood sucked out.
I've got nothing left to give. I've got nothing left to give. I'm puffing dust. What does it do?
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there, Ben. We've all been there when it's been
It's been a busy night.
You've exerted yourself too much. You get up the next day and you've got white hair and you can't walk properly.
It kept
After go,
changing in shots as well, though, did it not?
yeah,
At some point, he
yeah.
looked like he had white hair. He looked like Kilroy Silk.
Sometimes, yeah.
What's his name?
Sometimes he's got like a white stripe, like Rogue.
Yeah.
Other times he looks like Tony Hart. He's been like absolutely slurped dry by these
And then
vampires.
literally
And
in the
he's
same.
walking with a cane for just a little bit. When he first gets back to
Oh, he's
London, he's
fat,
like,
isn't he? To be
oh,
fair, I do not blame Mina Harker at all. I'd be all over Gary Oldman
Gary Oldman.
more so than
Especially after you find out he's been being noshed off by those vampires for literally months.
for literally months. Yeah. Where have you been for 3 months? I've basically been um having a foursome for 3 months. And sometimes time gets away from you, doesn't it? Like
Sometimes it does. And then the only way to recover was to go and like be nursed back to health by nuns.
by
Oh,
nuns.
you
That's the
turn up
opposite.
like banging at the door, going, "I've overdone it,
You need
please."
the opposite of that. That's like if you've been drinking for like, I don't know, couple of weekends straight, you go, oh, this weekend I'm gonna have a nice big like detox, gonna have a
Just
juice, got
crackers.
crackers, gonna have a juice, go to a spa or something. That's what he's done. He's been wanked off solidly for a couple of months, and he's gone, get me to the nunnery.
Oh, we just read me some really not even the interesting ones, the most boring Bible stories you've got, please.
Yeah, I don't want anything
Not
sexy.
Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. It's too exciting.
Yeah, I don't reckon he'll be able
Don't
to. He's not
don't
gonna be able to
sing
look
"Let
at
My
another
People
woman.
Go" and things like that. What's the just the most boring stories, please. Tell the one, no, not the one where Jesus tipped over all their market stalls. That's too exciting. What's a boring one?
It's boring.
Yeah.
Get the boring ones on. Um,
But yeah, while
while
I
this is
guess
happening, yeah.
that's a bit later, but that's the
Mm.
Jonathan Harker story for a little while.
So
So
did you recognize any of the brides? So one was played by Monica Bellucci.
I was going to say, is Monica Bellucci in there?
Monica Bellucci, she was one. She was, and again, he's just like chilling in the bed, and she just appears between his legs from out of the thing, topless, and
Yeah,
he's
she's the one
like,
that sort of emerges from the silky covers, eh?
yeah, and it's pretty good. Like the sort of creepy them on the wall walking backwards, and like Vamp and Dracula when he comes in, like floating and angry, and then obviously that scene
Oh,
where we
because
see him
you
crawling
think
down
they're
the
gonna
wall.
ki- they think they're gonna kill him at first, where he bollocks them.
Yeah, he says like,
He goes,
"He's
"Don't
mine."
fucking kill him. He's mine. Eat this baby, will you?"
Oh my God, yeah. Jesus, I forgot about that bit.
Yeah.
That's
He
brutal.
goes, "Oh, I can't
Where'd he get
stay
a
mad
baby
at you.
from?
Here, I'll have a baby."
Where'd he get a baby from? He seemed to pull it out from like from a
He's popped
pocket.
off down the town, hasn't he?
He's popped off down the town, what, to the baby shop?
Well, that's what he's done. That's why he's not in where they can capture him,
Ah,
because you
right,
see him
okay.
crawling down the wall. He's going, right,
He's
got to get
opened
out and
he's
get me
opened the pantry
messages, and I
door. Opened the pantry door and he gone, bloody out of babies.
better nip down the town before
That
the
is
co-op
brutal.
shuts.
So they all like devour the baby essentially. We obviously don't
Yeah,
see it happen, but it's we do see Jonathan Harker's reaction, which is big old scared scream.
yeah.
You can't blame him, can you? I think I
He's
react the
shouting
same.
for all the reasons. First, he's shouting because they're all over him, and then he's like, Dracula comes in and tells him off, and
How
then
could you
they're eating a baby. I felt
how
so
could
many
you get
emotions.
how could you get in the mood again knowing that those three are eating a baby? They'd be all over you again in a couple of hours. You'd be like, ah, I just can't. I just can't. You're gonna have to brush your teeth or something because because I just can't. I can't get in the mood. All I'm
I
thinking
can't.
about is what you did with that baby.
What if I? What if I emerge from the bedding again?
Could try
You
it.
can you can try it.
Could try it. We'll see what happens. But I might not be able to muster anything.
Yeah. And then they ruin it because then they're like, oh, starting to work. He's getting back into it, and they're going to go, come on, baby. Oh,
Come on, but don't say that.
you just reminded me of the baby I saw you eating.
Uh,
Um, I mean, to be honest, it's
yeah.
a wonder. I mean, I'm not trying to be too bold here, Ben, and go, "Oh, built different." I'd definitely be on top of this because these these are tricky. These vampires have got all sorts of powers.
Mm.
I'm not sure I would, you know, uh, I'd like to think at least that I'd be a little bit too suspicious to trustingly lie down on a bed that an invisible voice is going, "Here, have a lie down on this bed," after I've just seen literal upside down rats and
Oh yeah, upside down rats.
upside down rats,
This is
and
why I'm
knowing that I was
confused.
captured in this thing. And when the creepy man said, "Don't go sleeping anywhere else in this house," I reckon, because I'm too much of a rule follower, Ben. On days when it's like, oh, the pavement's a
Stickler for
bit,
the rules.
when a pavement is a bit covered in puddles and I'm out on a run and I have to run on the road, as soon as I can get back on the path, Ben, I'm on it. Even if it's less convenient,
Respectable man.
I'd be the same. When if Dracula, even if it's a creepy man, I said, "Don't go going out here,"
Yeah.
I'd have stayed
That's
in my
why
room.
I'm really confused by Jonathan Harker because he doesn't seem phased by anything. He doesn't seem like that's creepy floating towards me, or like I don't know, doing a Batman vanish out of the room, or crawling down the wall. I'm not phased by that.
Or making a mirror smash by being cross with it.
Yeah. Don't look at that. So yeah, essentially, while Jonathan Harker is stuck in Dracula's castle, Dracula decides to go to England, and this is obviously when we get the classic um boat, the classic boat trip.
Oh yeah, you
Obviously, it
could
was made.
pause the film here and go and watch Last Voyage of the
You
Demeter.
could, you could. So, Last Voyage of the Demeter, um, which obviously chronicles this sort of because it's a bloody long trip, isn't it? It's a long way round.
Ages.
Ages. It's a bloody long way around, and obviously he's kipping in his boxes of dirt and stuff, and I guess that's how and why he's becoming rejuvenated and sort of de-aging, I
Yeah.
guess.
And he's
De-aging.
chowing down on the crew as well,
Oh,
isn't he?
talking of de-aging, I'm sorry to pull this. I'm sorry to pull this completely ridiculous not analogy, story for you in. My dad told me the other day that he's watched a new Indiana Jones. This is true.
Was he?
And he went, "Yeah, bloody hell though. He was young in the start, so they must have started it years ago." And I went, that they've made him look young with CGI, Dad. They didn't start filming it 40 years ago and go,
Yeah,
you
right.
know
The
what?
rest of this film isn't set for
Put
40
this
years,
on
so
the put
put
this
this
on the
on later.
database. I was like, you please tell me you didn't think that. And usually when I realized my dad did think that is when he kind of just looks down. Anyway, that doesn't happen. He doesn't really look that old. He just de-ages because he's been in the dirt and drinking, I guess, drinking blood. Um, it's a weird one because the last voyage of Demeter, I'm thinking he's obviously killing some people, but he's got only kill a few because the boat still needs to run. Get him to England.
Well, they crash the boat into the boat turns up abandoned. I think you see a
Yeah,
little
that's right.
newspaper clipping of it
Very. Because he is
in
basically
this one.
going for this is the most effort anyone's gone to for a booty call ever.
Yeah.
Not like a last minute booty call. Oh, come round. Oh, I suppose I'm out, you're out. Should we just go home to get none of that? This is like I'm just gonna travel for I'm assuming weeks on end.
Weeks on end, having just seen a picture.
Having just seen a picture of it. It could be the original catfish in 1897. Someone's touched up that picture.
Or they've just got a picture of someone else.
Yeah. Or it's just a really good day for her. A good angle, a good day. It was a good hair and makeup day. She was looking great. She was
I
looking
mean, literally,
fresh.
photos were hard to get then. That would have been a professional photography job.
Could have been 15 years ago,
Yeah.
couldn't it? He could turn up and she could look like him, like he did earlier with his hair
Yeah.
and
I mean, of
hair and
course, that
space
photo
buns.
that photo was before the accident.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously he travels there, and then pretty much as soon as he gets to England, we see like a interesting little POV of him running around the streets of.
I tell you what, it's like filmed on like a cinefilm camera, right, with the really high frame rate,
Yeah, I
and
like
it's
that though.
like,
I think a lot when I see that in some films, like I don't want to say this era, but maybe like early 2000s, I go, oh, that's a bit doesn't look so great. This, I think it looks good. So where are they supposed to be? Like in the UK?
London, I guess, because
It
that's
is
where
London.
everything
They
is.
get to London.
Um, but I tell you
Oh, it is
what's,
London, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, of
I
course.
mean, things that are ever so good, Ben, like the little cine film recording that was happening. You know what's not ever so good?
Go on.
The bloody security at London Zoo.
Oh my God, yeah,
That wolf literally just walks out.
yeah. I can't imagine it. What's that? A wolf? I ain't gonna try and stop it. Who knows what's gonna happen to me?
Well,
See you later.
But it's literally you see the video of the wolf going, I've come to realize in my time at this zoo that I am thin enough to just walk through these bars.
Yeah, or he's gone, I haven't been eating very well. I can now fit through these bars. See you later.
Yeah.
Your own fault.
Unfortunately, what's happened is the zookeeper have coordinated. You've set the bars for lion, haven't you? Big lion. This little thin wolf. We can get through them.
So what is the relevance of the zoo stuff as well? Because the wolf escapes, and then when bodies start turning up that Dracula's killed, everyone just assumes it was the wolf that.
Oh, it's that wolf on it. Yeah, has Dracula made the wolf escape, so he's got someone to blame?
Stitched him right up, didn't he? He's basically just
Happens quite a bit in stories, doesn't it? That vampires or sometimes ghosts seem to want to frame someone for their crimes, even though they cannot ever be captured or done for them.
yeah, like what's going to happen? No one's going to arrest Dracula. Like he can literally turn into vapor.
Yeah, you know who's the worst? You know who's the worst for that? Toby, that demon from Paranormal Activity.
Oh yeah.
Always framing someone.
Always freaking leave everyone alone. Stop dragging everyone through the mud.
Why not just let the police go? Oh, it's a mystery.
He can turn into vapor. He can turn into rats. That's a great shot, by the way. We'll get into that, but
yeah, the turning into rats is brilliant.
it's a brilliant shot. Yeah.
If you could turn into one of the things Dracula turns into, Ben, only one.
Well, like an animorph.
Yeah, but only one. Only the ones that he do. So you can do bat, vapor, wolf, Batman, or multiple rats.
I reckon vapor, because that could get you in and out of many difficult situations.
I think vapor's the best one. If I could
difficult situation into a good situation, I don't know.
If I could turn into vapor, I'd step out in front of cars all the time.
Yeah, I got you. Fucking hell.
Just turn into vapor.
Wolf, pretty hideous. Bat, pretty hideous. Doesn't look like he can move very well either. He kind of looks a bit, oh, bloody hell. The rats, I can kind of understand, but I always worry about things like that when you turn into loads of things. If one of you goes missing, does that mean when you turn back into a human, you got a foot missing or something?
You're a bit smaller.
You're a little bit smaller. I wish I was a little bit smaller. I wish I was a rat man. But yeah,
turning into loads of rats would be good.
It would be good, but I think vapor for just the ease of.
Yeah,
things.
You can teleport yourself right into Winona
Ryder's bedroom. Into vapor,
can't you?
go out on a windy day, and just go on holiday. The wind will just take me, and I end up
only where the wind's going.
France. Yeah, that's true. I can't be fussy. It's like I'm going on a one of those cheap holidays where you get some sort of coupon for it. Oh, I don't know where it's going to be.
20, like a £3 holiday from the newspaper, and it's like
and you go to Pontins,
but in a worse place to the one that you live.
Way worse. I've actually done that before. I went to a Pontins, and it was not saying council estates are bad, but let's just say it was like a bad council estate. It was horrific.
When you fill in the form for the free holiday, it's actually like an army application paper. Yeah. Oh, going to send you somewhere sunny. Oh, this sounds lovely. How long are you there for? Till the war's over, unfortunately. What?
What? Bloody hell. So what about you? Of all those things, what would you turn into?
Wolfman. It's hard to beat the vapor. I think I would just step out in front of cars all the time.
Yeah.
Only people I didn't like. Just step out in front of the car, you just turn to vapor, and then you could rematerialize on the passenger seat, being like,
"Oh yeah, oh
bloody hell, mate, you want to be careful.
You want to be careful, mate. You do, bloody yeah, you're a mug." So
yeah, Dracula vapor, and then maybe rats, because rats would be real good. Turn into loads of rats, and the very fact you could still be in a big coat.
Yeah, you still go to the cinema, it'll be fine.
You'd call people all the time. You'd turn your back to someone and go, "Yeah, come here a minute," and then when they came over, they attacked me with a shot of rats just falling out.
Yeah. So Dracula takes up residence at Carfax Abbey, and essentially his whole shtick from now on is to essentially try and seduce Mina.
Chatting up Mina.
She's
not on her own, because you know who Mina's got. This was while Dracula was on his way over. We meet introducing Sadie Frost as Mina's mate Lucy.
Oh yeah.
I tell you what, not to shame anyone for their sexual proclivities, Ben.
A thousand blossoms bloom, as far as I'm concerned. She is leading everyone on, and ditching them within seconds.
I
He's
know.
like,
So
oh,
they have
good.
that little scene where they go, "Oh, it's you, Quincy," and like straight away, honestly, you thought old Jonathan Harker, Keanu Reeves himself, was getting seduced hard a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
Second, she walks over to old Quincy. He's like the cowboy character.
yeah.
Then he's like, "All right, Quincy, let's have a look at it. Let's have a touch of it, will you? It's so big and hard."
Oh yeah.
And he's like doing
He's like,
like a
whoa.
Kenneth Williams fan. And then she whips out a big Bowie knife that he's literally,
Yeah.
if he was an action figure, he would always have that.
What a great
Like a
knife.
big knife that he's got on him all the time. And then he's literally there for a second, and it looks like he's about to say, "Oh, do you want to be my girlfriend?" But then she goes, "Oh, hang on a minute. Old Dr. Seward is here," and he's just tripped over a polar bear.
Oh yeah, bloody hell.
And she goes,
Made a
"Oh,
right dick of
what?" And
himself.
then she goes, "Oh, what a naughty bear. Come on then." And then literally she's only just got him over there. And there's not like abandoned him, Quincy, to go and talk to Dr. Seward. Has literally got him to come and pretty much sit on the other guy's lap.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the
She
third
knows what
guy,
she's doing.
the Dread Pirate Roberts, has turned up
Oh yeah, of course.
from
What's his name? Lord Arthur Holmwood? Is that who you mean?
Lord Arthur Holmwood. Yeah, he's turned up, and she's going,
Yeah. So
"Oh."
this is all like our other. They are like three heroic characters, I guess, who are introduced. Um, yeah, and obviously they've got a bigger part to play later on in the movie.
I
Doctor
love it how
Jack
they basically
Seward.
become a revenge squad.
Yeah, basically it does become like a revenge squad. Yeah, you are our Lucy. We're all in love with Lucy equally. How
That's what
dare
I love.
you?
That's what I Love Lucy was based on.
Yeah,
All those
exactly.
lads that love Lucy.
Dr. Jack Seward, we do see him. He works in the
He
what?
works in bloody Silent Hill.
He
Seen
works
all
in
his
Silent
men
Hill.
that he's got there. He's got old Q-bed.
Even the Q beds are like the prison guards. I thought the
Yeah,
Q beds were like people who were going to be, um, like kept there. Like have this cube on your head, that sort you out. And yeah, that's where Renfield is staying. And when he's like, Renfield, everything all right, mate? And Renfield's like, I've just made a lovely, delicious meal out of all of these bugs.
and he's
Um,
like, "Give us a cat, will you?" And you're like,
oh yeah,
"I
give
don't
us a
reckon I
cat, a
will."
nice big cat, big juicy cat. And you're like, that sounds very wrong. Um, and yeah, Renfield bites him as well. But obviously, this isn't vampire related.
Should
This is
should have put a
just
Q-bed on him.
should have put a Billy Q bed on him. Exactly. I don't think they had any, did they? They ran out.
Use
They're
them
all
all on
rented
the
out.
Q-beds that you guys. But I feel like if that like Dr. Seward could have had the best like army against Dracula and all of his boys later on, because he could
Yeah,
have just brought all of his various
various Q beds. This is
various
like
characters. He's got the Q-beds, he's got the one with the hose, he's got the people with really long arm straight jackets where they're like tied to the
this is
ceilings.
like Arkham Asylum slash 12 Monkeys slash um I don't know. It's pretty bleak.
Yeah.
Um yeah, there
Mental
was
health treatment was not what it is today, everybody.
no.
It's awful. Whack a
Uh,
cube on your head, put these special gloves on so you can't bite your nails.
yeah. There's a scene where we see Dracula in the street. So he can walk, he can exist in the daylight, right?
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins, the narrator, tells us a bit about this. He goes, "Oh, by the way, you might have heard that Dracula can come out only in the nighttime. He doesn't like it as much, but it's fine actually. He can come out in the day if he wants.
That's it. Are we just supposed to believe so just him or all
All
vampires or
all vampires, but I guess he's the main one."
he's got tiny little sunglasses on, so he'll be all right. And he got a hat on. He takes that hat off. Plus, it looks a bit gloomy in London at this point,
Yeah,
doesn't
with all
it?
the
The sun
smog in it.
all very smoggy. Yeah. So he tries to. There's a bit where he's watching Mina and he says, "See me now," and she does kind of look around. And
Now, remind me, Ben, does he say that? Hear me now, see me now. Does he say that because previously, is it when he first gets to London that he has had a nosh of Lucy and they've
yeah,
both
that's
been
what I'm not
having
sure.
dreams about him as they arrive because that's another one
Yeah.
of his powers.
That's right. So
Um,
I think him getting Lucy is a little bit before this. Yeah, you're right.
so she
So
nips out. So Lucy's been doing some sleepwalking in like a sexiest nineties.
yeah, and sort of
Um,
giggling.
yeah. goes out into like the hedge maze, which everyone had in those days.
Yeah.
She's just got engaged. Actually, she's made a decision. She's going to marry the Lord,
Yeah.
the Dread Pirate Roberts. And next thing you know, this film does have like almost a dreamlike quality of some bits. Like I think the setup
Yeah.
is very done quite
This bit definitely.
meticulously, and then as it gets on, it accelerates more and more as
Hmm.
we get towards the end. But at this point, it was accelerated ever so slightly, and before you know it, Lucy is now engaged, and then she's out wandering the garden in a sexy red nightie, and Mina goes
It's
out
like
to follow her.
Dracula has like sort of hypnotically seduced her to come outside to like so he can get at her essentially, isn't it?
Yeah,
And he does it in his sexiest form, which is hairy Wolfman Beastman.
big hairy wolfman, and Mina sort of looks out and sees her being absolutely ravaged on a convenient gravestone
Yeah.
by the wolfman. He looks at her and goes, uh, don't
Quite
see me.
quite
And
embarrassing actually that you've seen this happen. So actually, just forget this. He's got a little Men in Black
yeah,
style
Professor
thing in
X
your
is her
way.
and says, right, you can't see John Cena's her. He like does that and he's gone. Um,
See you later.
so then maybe when he meets her in the street, that's because he's undoing that. So you can see me now if you like.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So he's like, this is me undoing the spell in this moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, what he does is he bites he bites Lucy and makes her feed from him as well. Is that right? Is that how it happens, or is it just because he's bitten her?
Yeah. So
That's why she
basically,
turns.
I think the reason between like if a vampire bites you in this version of the mythology, if a Dracula bites you, you can just be read poorly and you can die from it.
Hmm.
But if you also drink their blood,
Yeah.
then that's you a vampire. I know it's like zombies. These vampires are sometimes a little bit of a bite, sometimes it's a scratch, sometimes look at you the wrong way, you'll turn into one. But
Sometimes
in
they
this
turn
one,
into vapor and just go down your throat.
I think I think in this one it appears that if they've been having a slurp of you, that's all right. It'll make you poorly, but it won't turn you into a vampire. But if you have just a little dash of them, if you have some of their blood, that's how you turn into a vampire. You have to have both.
You have to have both, exactly. Yeah. Which is weird, isn't it? It's kind of like
Yeah.
the inconsistency is
I
a bit
guess we
strange.
see it quite a bit, right? Is that how it happens in certainly your favorite vampire franchise, Underworld, right? A werewolf bites you, that's fine, but a vampire, you've got to have a little bit of their blood.
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit like that. I think usually with these things, whatever the plot needs, the plot gets,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
So he does at some point, I'm not sure if it's initially or just a bit later, also, he does it in a nasty way to Lucy, though, because he has a little speech to her later and goes, I curse you actually to always be after a bit of blood.
Yeah,
Bit mean spirited, but sometimes breakups turn nasty. And she was a
incredibly
bit of a
mean-spirited. Yeah,
she's the first person he's met in a new country. He's just getting himself settled and he hasn't really got things together with Mina yet. I mean, Mina has the moral high ground because even though she does get into an affair with what she thinks of as like a sweet prince, she calls him a sweet prince.
Sweet Prince. Yeah, exactly.
I guess she doesn't know that Jonathan Harker's been having constant foursomes with vampire
No, she
women.
doesn't. She got no reason to know, has she?
Well, he hasn't written for a while, so you know, there's that.
He hasn't written for a while. Yeah, it's essentially the um the equivalent of being left on red,
Yeah,
or MSN Messenger. They've not been logged in for ages.
yeah. So she doesn't know what she's doing about it. Dracula does, and I guess he is a bit magic. So he comes along and says, "Oh, see me now." She says, "Oh, I was just looking for the cinema." Actually, he says, "Oh, convenient enough, that's just been invented. So should we go?" And they go to the cinemas. And he goes, "Bloody hell! I've seen train coming towards camera. I'm never going to be so scared again."
Yeah,
Um, and unfortunately, they are more scared by that. Well, actually, Dracula does get a bit impatient and he goes, right, actually, I am going to bite you now. I've got you. But then he obviously uses his powers, so she's a bit helpless. Um, but then is it that she's crying? She's upset, and he goes, oh, actually, I do like you. Actually, I'm not just gonna kill you or ravage you because I feel a bit mean.
I feel a little bit mean, yeah,
So I
exactly.
shan't do that. And in fact, what I'll do is then the wolf that escaped from the zoo, he turns up and he speaks to it in Dracula language, and it turns into a lovely, nice dog. It doesn't turn into, it's just very nice.
It's just very nice. Yeah, what does
And
he
he goes,
do? He just goes. He's like the
come on,
dog
we'd have a
whisperer.
stroke of him.
Who's that guy called the dog whisperer dude? He's basically like that.
Caesar.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it Caesar Fernandez? Is that his last name?
Possibly, yeah. Just whispers and goes, "If you mug me off in front of this lady who I really fancy,
Yeah.
I'll be fuming.
He
And if
does
you
the
bite her, even worse, so I'll rip
he
your
does
bloody
the
head off."
dominance thing because the
Yeah.
and he trains the dog. The dog's ever so nice. Go on, give him a stroke. Actually, he thinks you're brilliant.
He thinks you're absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Um, I guess there might
It's
be a scene where Dracula, like never filmed the thing, but like Dracula gets the keys to the city because he literally does tame this wolf in a cinema.
yeah. This wolf's gonna kill everyone in the cinema. Oh, that guy tamed it, didn't you see?
You think that
Um,
obviously, like as a specialist in Man About Town, I reckon there should be scenes where loads of people like go, "Hey!" every time they see him.
it also feels like the stuff with Mina and Dracula essentially like falling for each other feels like a Craig David 7 Days scenario, doesn't it?
Yeah, met her in the street on Monday, took her to the cinema on Tuesday. We were drinking absinthe on
We were
Wednesday.
drinking absinthe by Wednesday. The green fairy thing, whatever it is, where you drip it onto a lovely cube of
Lovely, lovely
sugar.
lump of sugar.
Yeah.
Hard to come by in those days.
Yeah. We were making love by Thursday?
At least
At least Thursday.
waltzing.
We were waltzing by Thursday, and on late Thursday, we were making love, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
By Thursday evening for certain. And this is a different time, Ben. You could get married to someone after you've been for 2 walks. Then first
Yeah.
walk, exchange names. Second
Second
walk,
walk.
establish that you've got something in common. Did you enjoy that walk? Yes. So
That
did
was a
I.
lovely walk, that was. What do you like to do to pass
I
the time?
propose marriage.
I propose marriage. There we go. Does he propose
He
marriage?
doesn't. He's having a
No.
lovely time just dancing with her and
Yeah. Don't
having
want to.
just
You don't want to rush it, does he? I know it's moving fast, but he doesn't want it. He's got 3 brides at home. Don't need a fourth.
yeah, he's got paperwork to do. Thankfully, he's got a solicitor that's at home. But then all of those good plans come to ruins because Jonathan Harker, we have a little bit of a flashback to him. He's going, oh, blood. I don't know how he got the energy to write in his diary. He's like written like, dear diary.
Dear diary, I'm bloody
These
knackered.
vampires have been noshing me off for days. I ain't got no strength left. Last thing I might try. This might be the last thing I write, actually. I might jump out window.
I can barely lift the pen. When we see him like escaping, and he goes like it's the most precarious escape ever. It's literally on the thinnest ledge over the highest drop,
And then he just drops into the river.
and that killed Elizabeta at the start. And this seems to be absolutely fine.
Well, you've got to think about it, Ben. Like those sort of, those late 1800s sort of Victorian era.
Brittle bones.
You could have a stressful week and die.
Yeah, that's true.
You could have a stressful week and you've got 2 choices: go to the seaside and live there and take about 6 months to get better.
Yeah.
Or if you have just like a drop more stress, that's it.
And it's
You'll
400 years
you'll
later.
fall into an org and die.
Things aren't absolutely great health wise, but I reckon Jonathan Harker, he's had a fairly easy life so far. I reckon.
Yeah,
I don't think he's had too much hardship.
He's done his solicitor's training, and then he's had about I don't know, a month, 8 weeks of being slurped off by vampires that's left him all withered.
He's been slurped off now to last him a lifetime. You don't need to be slurped off ever again. And I like it how we're using slurped off now in its literal sense, whereas usually we use it in its
It's just to be like dragged off the screen. Yeah. he's he's had all his precious fluids drained by horrible, not horrible. They're just doing
No, not horrible. Well, horrible. I guess horrible. They're
morally horrible.
morally horrible. Not horrible to look at, but still, they're biting you and drinking your blood, which I can't imagine is pleasant, unless you're into that, of course.
Yeah,
But not too much.
certainly not too much. Too much of anything, Ben.
Too much of anything is a bad thing. Yeah.
If you really loved
Too much.
chicken nuggets or jelly babies or whatever,
Nuggies.
you could still have enough.
That's true, actually, because sometimes you get a box of 20 chicken nuggets and you think that's far too many. You fly for them.
Yeah,
Fly
that's what
for
you
them.
do different dips, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
It's like a
completely
different
different
thing.
dips.
The nuggets are just a medium for the sauce.
All this time, Lucy is like slow. Her health's deteriorating. Her behavioral changes are sort of happening, and her former suitors, Quincy and Dr. Seward, along with her fiance, decide to summon Dr. Abraham Van Helsing. And by summon, I don't mean like speak his name into the wind.
Send him a telegraph.
Dr. Seward is like he knows him and he's like an expert in strange illnesses and diseases. So he's like, let's get him involved. And find what happens. And Abraham Van Helsing is the second appearance of Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, and he's giving a cool lecture at like a thing where people do like it's like a surgeon's version of like a beat poetry thing, except instead of when someone does a good poem, everyone doesn't like click their fingers, they like knock on the table.
Yay, that was a bloody great thing you just said.
And he lets a bat bite him. He's like, this bat, all this stuff, make you ever so poorly. It's like, oh, let it bite me. That's how it happened.
That's how it would happen. But I'm immune to it because I'm a legend. Yeah, and he turns up and it's not long and before he says he recognizes Lucy as like the victim of a vampire. He never says vampire, he kind of
Well, as soon as he gets there, and
vampire.
like Dr. Seward's like losing loads of blood. I don't know what it is. He goes, what's that orgasmic screaming coming from upstairs? Hang on. All very sexual, the screaming in this one. You can't tell whether someone's having a horrible time or a nice one.
It's confusing sometimes, yeah.
Obviously, none of these people like got kids have to be quiet about this kind of stuff. Like
Shush.
or neighbors.
So she's on the proper wind up as well,
class
Lucy. Like
privilege.
she lets Arthur Holmwood get close to her, or is it quit? It might be Dr. Seward actually, and she like pops her boob out and like says, "Come a little bit close." Have you noticed as well? Have you noticed this? You know, like when any female vampire tries to like seduce a male person in this film, they go for it immediately, no matter who they are or what the ramifications would be
Yeah.
of doing it. Anytime anyone leans in for a kiss, like it happens with Mina and Van Helsing. Anytime anyone leans in for a kiss, they go, "All right, then you convinced me. Whoa, let's get involved."
Yeah, not only morally, that person like you would surely know. It's like the vampire playbook.
It's the vampire, especially Van Helsing. I think, come on, Van Helsing, you must know. But it feels like everyone's just so repressed in terms of their sexuality that the moment anyone shows any sort of inkling of interest, they're like, "What the hell? Yeah, hell yeah,
Yeah,
let's do it."
Again, not trying to suggest that I'm built differently, Ben, or I'm immune to any of the biological shortcomings of anyone else, but I just feel in a world of vampires that are going to use that as a trick for you, the second anyone said anything even slightly flirtier than usual, I'd whack a Jesus wafer on the head like he does, just to be sure. Because there's no.
Jeez, I thought it was a jammy dodger when he went down on
Yeah.
the head.
Oh,
Jammy dodger, raspberry flavor, have that.
Yeah, like
Anything but that.
because especially if they're not a vampire,
It won't
then
matter.
it's gonna be fine.
You can still eat that wafer biscuit afterwards. I
Yeah,
don't
and you
mind
could
if it's
just
still
say,
on
"Oh,
someone's forehead.
that's a fun, sexy thing I do." Like, it's like a food thing. You know, some people
Right there.
strawberries and cream. Me,
Yeah.
a Jesus way. Or you could just bless a tin of squirty cream, couldn't you? Say some prayers over it,
That was
and
pretty
then if
good.
someone's getting a bit sexy at you, squirt the cream on them. If they are a vampire, burn them up. If they're not, just say that's part of it.
It's part of it. Is it like it sounds like it's the rules of like drowning a witch all over again. If they drown, they're not a witch. Is that the rules?
Yeah, if they drown, they were a good
If they drown,
person,
they're not
and
a
then
witch.
with
But
with
now
gone to
we've just
heaven.
that means we've drowned someone who's innocent, and if they don't drown, then they are a witch. So then we'll kill them, right?
Yeah, burn them up. The
Burn them
opposite of
up.
drowning.
Bloody hell.
Yeah,
Um,
good old Matthew
dangerous.
Hopkins. He would have made it. Oh, that'd be. Tell you what, Ben. Matthew Hopkins versus Dracula. I don't reckon he'd fall for any of his tricks. Matthew Hopkins a real bad man in real life.
Yeah.
Everyone don't, but fictional Matthew Hopkins, played by
Yeah.
Vincent Price,
Yeah. Exactly.
he wouldn't have any of his tricks.
No, none of them. You fuck him up.
Second, he
Um,
tried his right stick pins in him.
I was confused then. I thought you were talking about Anthony Hopkins. I'm like, hang on a minute. But yeah,
Yeah,
Matthew Hopkins. I know what you mean. So yeah, Mina, not long after this, Mina receives word from Jonathan, receives a letter from him. He's escaped the castle and he's recovering at a convent and he's gone, get yourself over to Romania to marry me, will you? There's a cheap flight on EasyJet, so I've sent you the details.
and
Get yourself over and marry me.
she's into the affair though. She's like, oh, I can't. He must never know about the sweet prince that I've been dancing with, having affairs with.
Yeah, pretty much says that and writes a letter to Dracula saying, I'm off to marry my fiance. Um, we'll never see each other again. And Dracula is I, mean, I want to say fuming, but like he's genuinely heartbroken. He's genuinely upset and sad. You would be fuming, wouldn't you? Because you'd be like, I've come all this way, and my plan has been. You'd be mad at the brides.
Yeah, and
One
he's little, and
job,
he's yeah. One job was to just keep slapping this guy up until I'd finished nicking his wife.
and you let him out, and he's gone to the nunnery as well. Absolutely
The
fuming.
one place can't do anything about it, and he's set up loads of candles that he blows out by being so angry. It must have took him ages to light all those.
Yeah, it blows them all out. Make a
Yeah,
wish, and he makes a
because
wish with every single one.
he's in like an empty black room just full of candles, and he like powers up so much that they all blow out.
Yeah, that's good there.
He
One
does
of his
like a big
powers.
Dragon Ball Z shout, doesn't he?
Raging. Okay, so now it says then he goes and transforms Lucy into a vampire. So I think at this stage, Lucy has just been like drained by him
Yeah,
and bitten
and
by
the others
him.
have been given her like blood transfusions, and
Yeah,
he keeps nipping back all the time. There doesn't he have a bit more out of her?
yeah. I think that's what's keeping her
Because
in that
sorry,
state.
that's what we got sidetracked on when Van Helsing first arrives. They hear the orgasmic screaming, and he runs upstairs, and they can't see him, but it looks like
Yeah,
she's in the bed, like thrashing about, and there's a trail of blood going out the window.
yeah. It's cool. A lot of these visuals are great. Like, um, yeah. So yeah, he goes back and officially turns her into a vampire.
He goes, "I officially make you a
A
vampire."
vampire, and then she dies or dies in the eyes of everybody. But I think Van Helsing is pretty much convinced she's going to come back, and this is where we get the iconic her in the glass coffin with
Yeah, they get the Snow White model, don't they?
the Snow White modeling. Yeah, exactly. Um, with her in like this sort of big ruffled thing around her neck and like the
Dressed as like Queen Elizabeth.
dress as Queen Elizabeth, and she looks ever so pale. And I mean, it's an iconic look, I think, especially when she eventually does rise. It's a it's a good it's an iconic look. I think when you think of like bride of Dracula, this is the look that pops into my head, even though she's not really officially a bride.
Um, yeah, and Van Helsing is pretty straightforward. He goes to the lads, the three former like the three former suitors
Yeah,
of
rounds up anyone who's ever had inkling that they're gonna get in Lucy
yeah.
Westenra's ancient knickers. I say
He
ancient
puts he puts
knickers.
like he puts like a little post in the paper. Do you fancy or did you
Did
fancy
you ever fancy?
Lucy?
Yeah, with
If so, meet me here at the graveyard this evening. Got something interesting to tell you.
the little doily she's got on her head. And vampires, as we led to believe, kids aren't off the menu, are they? We've seen a baby.
To be honest, they're on the menu.
They're on the menu. It's not they're not off the menu. They're
They
on
love
the
a
menu.
children's meal.
Yeah, Happy Meal. Did they get a
So
free toy? Who
they
knows?
they get they Van Helsing straps says, yeah, what I'm proposing we do is that we go to Lucy's tomb, um, whack something in her heart, stab her through the heart, and chop her head off. And everyone's
Yeah,
like, nah, don't.
because
Like,
he
yeah,
pretty much
we got
says,
to though.
"I'm going to do an autopsy on her," and by autopsy I mean stab
Chop her
her
head off.
in the heart and chop her head off. Um, and he says it with a very straight face. But when they get there to her tomb, they
She's not even in.
open the crypt. Is it a crypt? Open the thing,
Open the
and
crypt. She's not in. Leave a
she's not
card
in.
saying sorry we missed you.
Sorry, we missed you. You're gone.
But thankfully, she comes straight back. They all just sort of stand to the side while she's bringing a little kiddie in.
The little kiddie, yeah.
He brings
They
the little
they
kiddie
turn up
in.
just in time, if anything, don't they?
Yeah, to stop him getting eaten up.
So yeah, what happens? They essentially just
They first turn up and she tries it on again. She goes to the what's the Lord's name that was her actual fiance.
Lord Arthur
Yeah, Arthur.
Holmwood.
Just come on, Arthur. Give us a snog, will you?
Yeah, I will.
Missed you being dead and all that, and he looks like he's going to go for it, but then Van Helsing goes, "Have some bloody Jesus up." Yeah, he gives her some Jesus, and he makes her go to bed with Jesus. He's like, "Get in that coffin, have a lie down, go to sleep."
Go to bed, and it's good. This shot is like reversed, isn't it?
Where she vomits the blood all over him.
But the shot where she gets back in the coffin is like reversed. So it's like,
is it her getting out of it?
Shows, yeah,
reverse it.
When he shows her the crucifix and tells her to get back in the coffin, it's like against her will. She's like returning to the thing. It's a really good like stylized shot. I really like it.
And he's like almost doing like almost like an exorcism, right? He's like forcing the bad spirit out of her. And then Quincy, this trusty Bowie knife,
trusty Bowie knife, yeah.
He sticks her, and then they chop her head off. Job done. Job done,
and it's a good chop of the head as well. Looks very iconic.
This is kind of modelled. You know when they do a cripplingly sad Christmas Day episode on EastEnders, Ben?
Yeah.
And
it's Christmas Day, but someone
it's cut in between like Billy Mitchell and Little Mo are getting married, and one scene, and then it goes to Jamie Mitchell dying of like liver failure in hospital on the other one. It's that.
I like how you've linked back to EastEnders because, of course, Gary Oldman's sister is Big Mo.
It's Big Mo, yeah, and it is that's exactly the drama that happens. So Little Mo and Billy Mitchell were getting married, ever such a lovely time, aka Jonathan Harker and Mina. She's arrived there, and they are getting married in Romania.
Yeah.
Bit of trivia for you, Ben, that I read. That they performed that wedding ceremony scene that they filmed with an actual Greek Orthodox priest that they just went, will you come and do this for us? Because obviously, you know the words. Don't need an actor. You get a natural priest to do it.
Yeah.
Now, while they were not completely legally married, it was argued the fact that because they had a priest do it, that Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder may well be married in the eyes of God.
They're actually married in the eyes of God. Did they go on to marry anyone after that? Are they bigamists?
At least Greece God. So the God of Greece understands that they are married, and apparently the trivia suggests that to this day, Winona Ryder will sometimes text Keanu Reeves and say, "Hey, hubby," and they're both fine, and they're both fine with it.
They're both fine with it. It's fine, isn't it?
That's a fun little cute story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
I have no idea if they're either of them are married to anyone else. I'm not.
I think Keanu Reeves did get married, but I think did his wife pass away? I'm not sure. Maybe I've misremembered that. Yeah. So
you're thinking of Dracula there.
I'm thinking of Dracula now, aren't I? Yeah. And he's easy to get confused. So he and Mina return to London after that, don't they?
Yeah. And he's ever so doddery, still withered from his time. He's on a little walking stick.
He looks like Kilroy Silk. And this wait, what's his full name? That guy,
Robert Kilroy Silk.
Robert Kilroy Silk. He looks like Robert Kilroy Silk, walking around, doddering around. He's screwed. And Dracula probably thought, "I'm never ever going to see Mina."
He sees him out the carriage window. That's bloody Dracula.
That's bloody Dracula. But don't muck about. Don't be silly. But they essentially hatch a plan, everybody together, where they're going to go to Carfax Abbey. Van Helsing is going to go to Carfax Abbey, destroy the Count's boxes of soil.
As he goes,
soil.
When this plan comes together, they seem to be having. They seem to be all together at the local Wetherspoons.
Yeah.
For overseas listeners, that is a low-cost pub that people certainly in the early 2000s would go to at the start of a night out because they don't have a music license. It's quiet.
Two
You can have
pound
a
ninety
chat.
five for a pint of Carlin.
Yeah. So they're at like a Weatherspoons, and Van Helsing is like the straightest. He's like Jeremy Kyle because first he goes, "Oh, what happened to
Yeah.
Lucy while we were away?" I cut her head off and staked her through the heart.
Your best mate, Mina, dead. I sliced her head
and
off, staked her in the heart, and now she's rotting in the
then
grave.
he and then he
How do you
and
feel
then he's
about
all
that?
Dervish in heaven now though. And then he turns around to
Forgot.
Jonathan Harker and says, "So, when you were being unfaithful with them vampire women,
Yeah. Stitches him right up.
did you
He's
have
like,
any? Did you have any of their blood?" Because oh no, I didn't actually. Because that's all right then. That means you're not going to be a
Mina's like
vampire.
looking at him across the table, going, "You what?" But then secretly thinking, "I've been copping off with Dracula as well."
So she can only be so angry, but she's like, "I've got to put a good show with this." But he does go, "Oh, couldn't even." This is why it's very Jeremy Kyle. He's like, I couldn't even know my own mind actually.
Yeah.
So
No idea what was going on. To be fair, yeah.
they probably magicked me actually. Like it probably, if I really think about it, it probably wasn't my fault that all
Yeah.
those that
I
all
don't
that
think it
happened.
was. Did you enjoy it while it was happening? No, definitely, definitely not. Not even.
No, you can't 100% be sure whether they were cries of agony or ecstasy at any given time.
Bit of both, wasn't it?
Try and subtitle that. You couldn't. You just have to put shouts
Shouts, shouts in agony slash
because he
ecstasy.
says neither oh yes or oh no, so
No,
can't be sure.
exactly. Um. So yeah, the plan, they go to sort of destroy the boxes of soil.
Wreck his
Um.
house.
What was that?
Just wreck his house, don't they?
Wreck his house. They smash his house up like it's one of those rooms you go in to let off steam.
They're going
Rage,
like find. They're
rage
going like
rooms.
it's finders keepers.
Yeah. Whereas Dracula, he's just like chilling on the ceiling, isn't he?
He's
At
on
this
the
point.
ceiling going, oh, wrecking
Yeah.
the house. But I
He's on
tell
the
you
he's
what,
in the ceiling in bat mode, right? And he goes fuming.
he's in the ceiling
Um,
in bat mode. But thankfully, um, Mina is she's elsewhere, so she hasn't gone to the home wrecking. So he goes,
yeah.
well, tell you what, you wreck my house, I'm going to go around and steal your wife.
Wreck my house with you. I gotta go right back around and
So
steal
this
your
is
wife.
when he uses his power. He turns into a mist.
Yeah.
And before you know it, he's in Mina's bed. She's up. Yeah, actually, here you are, my sweet
Yeah.
prince. This is what I want.
I'm dead.
Unfortunately,
Even though I've just got married and I thought I wanted that. Now I've decided I actually do want to be with you, Dracula, and you
I
should
do want
probably
to be
turn
with
me
you,
into a bloody
Dracula.
vampire.
You're what I
I
want.
think just before Dracula went to the asylum and killed Renfield, didn't he?
Oh, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Bashes him into the wall as a mist. He goes, "You stitched me right up, Renfield." Smashed into a wall.
Have this.
He goes, "I didn't tell on you, your
Yeah.
lawyer that you let escape."
I think he does say to Mina as well that he murdered Lucy and he's been terrorizing
Oh, he
everybody
does.
else.
He does grass him up
And
to.
she's like, I'm raging, but I'm willing to forgive you. It's like a real toxic relationship, you know, and it's like, I'm breaking up with him again because he gone out gambling all weekend, but he did bring me back. He did bring me back a takeaway. So
Yeah,
actually, he does love me. So we're all
this is
right.
the reveal that he has because he like says, "Oh, but so I want to be with you," and he goes, "Oh, I love you, my sweet prince lad," and he goes, "I am a Dracula." There, he goes, "Oh, for fuck's sake, a
Yeah,
Dracula!"
I am a bloody Dracula. I mean, just the concept of that, like, does it even make sense? I don't think she fully understands because she's like, turn me into one as well.
Yeah, yeah. He goes, "Yep." Turn us into one. He goes, "Oh, I shouldn't though." And he goes, "Oh, do I actually don't care."
Yeah. So he begins the transformation process, bites her in the neck, then he slices himself on the chest, and like she's drinking from him. But before they can go through it fully, everybody bursts into the room. The hunter crew burst into the room. And this is when we see Dracula in full evil bat mode, right?
He's in bat mode, and he terrifies all of the group. And apparently, in the making of the film,
Yeah.
old Francis Ford Coppola said, "Right, Gary Oldman,
Yeah.
you tell everyone here. You got to tell each of them something scary,
Yeah.
so they look
I
terrified."
think they were stood there with like blindfolds on before they did a take while he walked in and like
Is that what it is?
yeah.
They put
Fucking
That's why he
hell.
looks so scared. Oh, I
Because
was
it was
reading that
because again it
apparently
was Gary Oldman in the makeup for
but
everything as
apparently,
well.
but apparently he also whispered something terrifying to each of them, and they've never revealed.
I reckon it's something about something being discontinued. A famous, lovely confectionery being discontinued forever. The 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 dipped flake. Remember that one? What was it called? The snowflake.
Snowflake
The
never
white
encountered it.
flake. Oh
So
no.
what year was this? 1992. Um, the Cadbury Secret Bar that's popular at the moment. They're going to stop making that. What?
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Yes, true. You know, well loved British light entertainment personalities. Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, Australian, but mostly no. Well, no. Guess
Yeah,
what? You never guess what? And then he just whispers the truth to him.
it's not going to
Oh
come. It's
no!
not going to come out for 20 plus
But
years.
Savile will
Withered.
already be dead, and he won't pay. And he won't pay the price for his crimes.
Hey, your favorite singer. Your favorite singer, Keanu Reeves, Michael Jackson. I'll tell you something about him.
Oh
What?
God!
Ah!
No, I don't believe it. Some
He's-
people won't believe it.
Yeah, that's what he does. He says these things to wither them all,
And
or
they're
like
obviously
maybe spoil something that he loves. Hey, that guy in Dallas that you gutted that he's died? Turns out all to be a dream. That's already happened. That's already happened, Gary Oldman. That was years ago.
it's already happened. I already knew that. Don't worry about it. There's a great film that's going to come out in about 7 years with Bruce Willis, and a little kid. And it's going to be ever so spooky and great. Well, guess what? He's going to go see your time.
Gary Oldman
God damn
with your prophetic views of the future.
it.
In a few, I tell you what, any British Anthony Hopkins. You know what? In a few years' time, this country that you're in, it's going to leave you. It's going to be dog shit. No.
No, it already is. No, it's not. The past was better. So there's a great shot, obviously, with bat like Dracula backing away from the flaming crucifix that Van
Bachelor.
Helsing holds up. What did I say? Bachelor.
Bachelor.
Bachelor. Oh, we did Angela backing into the shadows and then turning into a load of old rats. That's a great shot because he's got
Yeah,
horrible red eyes as
so
well.
good. They're like, we've bloody got him.
Creepy,
We've
man.
got him, lads.
Incredibly creepy. Um, yeah, and then obviously escapes as Rat. I think he does claim Mina as his bride before he escapes.
He goes, she's my wife now. Bye.
She's my wife. And then I think Mina, they keep hold of Mina for a while, like keep her close as she begins to like transform. And there's a bit where like Van Helsing hypnotizes her and manages to get her to say,
Yeah, because when he's gone, she's like, "Oh, what have I done?" Actually, a
yeah,
bit of regret about this. So, I mean, I was going to ask you, Ben, your take on this. When she's like, "Actually, I don't care," turn us into a vampire. Was that his magic, or
yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because like I get the feeling that the magic is used a lot, but I almost feel like he doesn't use it so much on Mina because he's trying to like fall in love with her officially. Hence why she was
officially?
officially doing it properly, you know what I mean? Hence why she was a bit like dismissive of him initially on the street.
Yeah,
Like he could have just easily used the magic and she went, bloody hell, I'm well into you.
yeah.
But
But
I
he
don't know.
went, "Oh,
Yeah,
I'm looking
I
for a
think you
museum." Actually, he said, "Oh, I'm looking for the cinema." Go to the bloody museum, mate. Read a fucking book once in
read a
your
book, you
life.
fucking twat. Actually, I've been a bit harsh there. So I think you could take it either way. Either way. Because it is a bit, I think poor Jonathan Harker in this because he becomes a really minor background character as this is all
He
happening
did.
in front
He
of his
did have
face
like
as
a
well.
several-month threesome, foursome
Yeah, that's
with
true.
yeah,
You've been stitched up. They've gone, listen,
yeah.
your girlfriend, your fiance, your wife now is going to cop off with Dracula. All the while, you're going to slowly turn into Robert Kilroy Silk. Okay, that's the rules.
I think just take your medicine. You sort of made your bed
Yeah,
on that one, made of
comfortable.
silken sheets, and
Even if he was coerced into it. Yeah, and so the plan is that Dracula's sailing home in his last remaining box, and the hunters are going to like intercept him. We see like a little map, don't we? Of
he can control the wind, can't he?
is that true?
Yeah, because he says, "Oh, he controls the wind." So
What? What is he? Fucking a storm or something? What's going on?
he's got
Any
all the
powers?
powers, mate.
He's got all the powers he needs. So they
Um,
essentially depart and they try to intercept him. So he's going around the long way, and they go, "We're going to take like the train." Is it a
yeah,
train?
they do a lovely like Mina hypnosis like thing. So when she's telling them, it like shows the Indiana Jones map of them traveling
Yeah,
to
that's
catch
right.
up.
That's right. And I think,
Unfortunately, though,
yeah,
uh,
unfortunately, I think it's worked both ways, isn't it? Because he's got this connection with Mina, he can kind of like see what they're up
yeah,
to as
so
well.
he's installed some spyware on Mina.
Yeah,
He's put she's got my Find My Friends app on, and he's
yeah,
like,
exactly that.
I can see where you're going actually. So he's like trying to stay one step ahead and evade them on the train. The lads find the revenge. Bearing in mind, three members of this revenge squad on a very very day. Van Helsing,
Yeah,
obviously, his mission is to destroy Dracula because we find out in an earlier scene he's reading a book as it's only bloody Dracula, the guy I've been after for ages. I didn't
it's
mention
very
it until
Dracula.
now. I've been
I didn't have
after
a
him.
bloody clue. I didn't have a clue. It's just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, oh, so glad I came to this thing about this tropical disease that your friend had. Turns out my worst enemy, Dracula, I've been after for ages. It's him. Um, so he would be on the mission. Jonathan Harker, obviously, his wife Mina is the target of Dracula. Those other lads, those three,
They're just along for the
they
ride.
were just all previously engaged. Not engaged. One of them was engaged to Lucy.
Yeah.
The other two just
Yeah, there might
just
have been a
fancied
moment where they
her.
go, I don't know if I want to get involved in this life or death thing. Lucy's dead. I could just go back to my normal life.
They could just, but they've all got stuff going on. One of them's like a
Exactly.
Wild West cowboy, and the other one is a doctor who's got an entire asylum to run.
Yeah,
And they could have just cracked on with that, but they join the revenge
join in. Yeah.
posse. That
Um.
is like pre-marriage. That is just like someone that you fancied, like you had a crush on
Yeah.
someone in your first job
Want
or
to
at
get involved?
school.
Yeah, I'll get involved. What's this? So everybody like splits up. So Van Helsing and Mina travel to like the castle, and the others try to stop the.
Yeah, they split the party, don't they? So basically, so they can't spyware Mina. He goes,
Yeah.
right, Van Helsing, you and Mina just go to the castle.
Yeah.
And if we don't catch up with him, it's going to be up to you because you're the best at fighting vampires. So you're like the last line of defense.
Yeah.
But we will try and catch him. Basically, we're going to try and get him when the boat comes and just I don't know, waz him in the sea.
Whaz him in the sea. Yeah. When the boat comes in.
Yeah,
Um. So while that is kind of happening, we kind of focus on Van Helsing and Mina for a bit. Dracula's brides are like chanting and trying to get Mina to essentially seduce Van Helsing by, and she does. She kisses on him. There's a bit earlier as well. Van Helsing like first met her and started dancing with her.
yeah.
Very strange. But before Mina can feed on his blood, Van Helsing sticks a old jammy dodger straight on her forehead,
Oh!
bleeding. Sorry, burning her head. Apparently, it slows her transformation. It says here. And he manages to surround himself with a ring of fire to protect, well, him and Mina to protect them from the brides who are trying to get him. Then the brides
Doesn't
get
put him
all
around his horse
sleepy.
though.
What was that?
Doesn't put him around his horse though.
Ah, screw. Oh my God, yeah,
Yeah,
screw
and
the
he's like,
horse. They
he
just like,
spends the time. Don't stab my. Oh.
oh bloody hell, too late. And we only see it in like a shadow of it, don't we?
Yeah, it's like a silhouette of the horse being
Again,
like
this is
smashed
great.
up.
Like, it's a really. The fact is, like, oh, killing a baby, killing a horse, like, it all sounds pretty horrific, but
Just spiteful, isn't it?
we don't. It's horrific, but we don't see it much of it. So like, the way it's done is like really stylized.
Van Helsing
Um,
has his revenge though, because
yes, he does.
after the brides of Dracula are really tired from killing his horse, they go to bed and they're camped pretty much outside where they're asleep. So in the morning,
Yeah,
he just walks into the house and chops their
he
heads off.
literally walks in, chops their heads off, and slings them off the bridge.
Right.
And Bella, what does he shout? Fuck you,
Fuck
you
you.
bitches! Fucks him up.
That's my
Um,
favourite horse. Absolute nobbers.
so Dracula's carriage arrives at the castle, pursued by the hunters. There's like an action sequence now where the hunters are
Yeah, they're
all
just fighting his dudes, aren't they? The guys that will, the like his human servants who aren't necessarily allied to a vampire.
No,
They just
they've
work for
obviously
whoever
paid.
owns
He's
that
obviously
house.
paid them. He's paid them, so they're like, right, we
It's
got.
just like, oh, they are sworn to serve the lord of this house. So it's like, well,
Oh yeah.
doesn't matter who it is.
Can you get?
Whoever buys the house, they basically come with the house.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, essentially, a few of them like die. I think Quincy gets like stabbed. No, no, only Quincy, isn't it? Quincy gets stabbed in the back by one of them, I think. Um. And then as it's like sunset, Dracula like bursts from his coffin.
They've
Um.
almost got him as well. They're literally just
Very
about to get
close.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wonder why
Um.
it has to be sunset, because Anthony Hopkins himself said earlier, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Maybe he's weak because he's old.
Yeah, he's weak because he's in
Deformed,
old
and
mode, isn't he? Because he hasn't
he's
got
in
all
old
of his.
pajamas mode. Um,
Yeah,
and as he bursts out, Jonathan manages to slit his throat with that big knife.
yeah.
Um,
Slits his throat, and then Quincy comes in and stabs him in the chest, but then he
yeah,
gets thumped across the room.
this is a real like Infinity War moment of everybody taking down Thanos, isn't it? Everyone's just like, yeah. Um, and then Van Helsing, Jonathan, basically let Mina go into the castle with the count.
Yeah, they're about to drop in on him. They're like, he's because he is battered. He's thumped Quincy, but the others can get in. And then Jonathan goes, actually, no, because Mina has kind of, she isn't a full vampire yet, but she has turned and she's pulling a gun on them to try and defend Dracula. And she's like, oh, would you do the same to
Yeah.
me when it's my time? And they go, uh, would you
Mm,
believe no?
well, maybe. I don't know.
Um, but then, yeah, then Jonathan Harker kind of has a moment where he's like, no, actually, let's not finish him off. Let's let Mina take him inside. Our work is finished.
Our work, yeah, our work is
Hers has only
finished.
just begun. And my takeaway when I first saw this, I remembered how it ended now, but I think for watching this the first time, is like, oh, they just decided, let's let them just be together.
Yeah. But this is weird, right? So Dracula's like dying at this point. How is he so how is he able to be killed? Because it's just because he's weak? Is that the reason?
I think even if he was at full strength, if he did the vampire killing things of stabbing him through the heart and chopping his
Oh
head off,
yeah,
then he would die
okay.
anyway. But it's just because he was not at full strength,
Yeah.
then it was just a
It's
bit easier
definitely
for them to
happened.
do it. But
So it's
Quincy does die
Quincy does die, yeah. That's a sad moment. He collapses and he's gone.
because I've been
Um,
stabbed in the back and now thumped.
and I
Finished.
thumped so hard. So it's in the ends in the chapel where Dracula had previously renounced God. Him and Mina share a kiss at the candles adorning the chapel. Um, and the cross repairs itself as well. So what are we supposed to think about this? What does this
The,
represent? The fact
the
that we'll let you off, actually. We'll let you in heaven.
the wound has been healed, I guess, and
The vampire is dead.
God's gone right. You can, yeah, because she sort of Mina says like in a reflection, like
Give him peace.
maybe the love that I have has restored
Yeah.
his.
Well, that's the thing. This is the most like human like version of Dracula we've ever seen, like on screen. Like every version is pretty much just like a monster, a heartless monster. And I'm sure there's that sort of lust that comes with the character of Dracula and kind of like, but every other time we kind of see him as this like monster of the night. Whereas this like that's there as well, but also like his love for Mina is very
Yeah, that's a
present.
genuine love that he has, and he goes, "Oh,
Reminds me of Imhotep in a way. He
yeah,"
is old. His lady died, and he was never the same. You know what I mean? And
and he does love a Nux and a Moon
now he's in present day, and he's like, I want the person who was reborn as a Nux to the moon. All right, and that's
until a
essentially
Nux
the
and a
same
Moon is
thing
just in the second one as a different woman.
as a different woman. Yeah, I wish I found her first. Is what he's thinking. Um, so and then Mina thrusts the knife through his heart, and as
He tells her to. He's like,
he
"Oh,
tells her to,
give
yeah,
us
yeah,
some pieces. Finish shoving this knife
stab
in
me,
me
will
out,
you?
will you?"
Give me assisted suicide. That's actually illegal. I don't think it
Oh
should be,
yeah,
but
because
it is.
he could have also not got if that priest had turned up again and said
Yeah.
he did ask him to do that, so that was the suicide. So no heaven.
So the mark on her forehead like disappears. So I'm supposed to believe that like that means the curse has left her as well.
Yeah, so she's not a vampire anymore. I assume
Yeah.
so.
Um.
And this was an extra bit. This is the bit of trivia I told you. Get the George Lucas, a friend of Francis Ford Coppola, said she should chop his head off as well. And apparently they did that 3 weeks before release. That all right, do another bit where she chops his head off, I guess.
Oh wow, okay. Well, it just went. It doesn't end well enough. We want to make sure he's definitely dead and can't come back for a sequel. Dead.
Yeah,
Yeah. So she decapitates him, and then looking up, there is a painting on the ceiling of Vlad and as Elizabeta, and it like looks like they're ascending to heaven,
ascend
doesn't
into
it?
heaven. I mean, that's just a painting. That priest
That
would say that's as close as you get. And actually, I have
400 years of
confirmed. No,
400 years of murdering people, and but actually, I'll let you off. Get
if
yourself in
someone else is
heaven.
nice to you, then
Get
that's
yourself in
enough.
heaven, you mug. And that's it. And then it ends. And then it ends with a lovely song, which I forgot about until it started playing. I was, oh, I love this song. Love Song for a Vampire. Written and performed by Annie Lennox. It's bloody lovely, isn't it?
It's very, very nice. A
Very
lovely
nice.
song.
A lovely song.
Um, I what do you think Mina did now then after that bit?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I mean,
Did she
I
go
don't
back
know.
outside the others and say,
Just
"Can I
waltzed
come
back
back to
outside and
England?"
went, there we go, it's all over. And Robert Kilroy Silk turned back into Keanu Reeves. His hair turned black, jet black. This is a lot of years before Just for Men as well. So, he might have had to live out the rest of his life with grey hair. But I like to think that they're married, so maybe just have a nice life together.
People didn't really have divorces. Of course they
No.
did. Henry VIII has already
Oh,
happened.
yeah. Well, yeah, but I bet most people didn't. I reckon Van Helsing visited every few months like a quirky uncle.
He always comes for like Christmas and that.
He always comes for Christmas, exactly. He's like, well,
Um,
remember that time we took down Dracula? That was all right. Laugh.
and those obviously Quincy is dead, but the other two like, oh, remember
Yeah.
Lucy?
Remember Lucy? Yeah, bloody hell, that was a good time, wasn't it? Yeah. And I like to think that they fell in love. Why not?
Yeah,
Richard E. Grant and Cary Ewells.
yeah. Maybe he made the asylum a little bit less horrible. Got rid of all those box heads.
Yeah, get rid of the box heads. Have a pyramid head instead. That's much
Yeah.
nicer.
So
Um,
yeah, I mean, she's not a vampire anymore, so she probably doesn't want to stay there.
no, don't want to chill at that. Again, a long way back. They've literally pretty much just arrived, and then you got to start the journey all the way back to the UK.
You'd hope that if Lucy, like, Mina, sorry, she didn't walk out and they'd already left. Be like, oh, we thought it was going to be years.
Oh
So
yeah, we've already left. We left without you. Sorry, you're gonna have to make your own way back. That's it. I'm just gonna go live with the nuns. That's close by, innit?
yeah,
It's not far. Get myself to
jump
the
in the
nun.
river, you'll wash up there.
Get myself to the nunnery.
Um,
There we go then. That is the
and
end. Have you got
there we
any?
go. I mean, phenomenal. We've been making light of it as we go through because that is the style that we cover here. But phenomenally made, right? I love
Oh
it,
yeah,
especially for the time. And is this
definitely.
the? You'll keep me honest, Ben. Is it a relative of Francis Ford Coppola, like his nephew or something like that? He just hired him to do the special effects. Didn't have the experience. He just wanted to do it, and he was
Oh
like, "Yeah,
right.
you do that."
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you just went get yourself involved and
I
do.
can't be sure it is his nephew. I think there's like a relative who wasn't necessarily a well-known special effects artist, but
Yeah.
said, "I can do this, and I'd like to do it." And he just said, "Yeah, do it."
Oh wow, amazing. Uh, right there we go then. So that is Bram Stoker's Dracula. Have you got any name game?
I got a couple for you, Ben.
Okay.
I've got a couple in the traditional format, and then we'll try a different one if you like.
Okay. Do you want me
So,
to
what?
give it a synopsis?
Yes, please.
Centuries-old vampire Count Dracula comes to England to seduce his barrister Jonathan Harker's fiancée Mina Murray.
Okay. So, a centuries-old vampire comes back to life and travels to England to take ever such nice care and offer some TLC to some pigs.
What? There's some pigs. Have you done Dracula as well?
Yeah, it's still Dracula. He's just always a Dracula.
Uh,
He's
pigs.
looking after the pigs, and he's been ever so nice to them. Just giving a bit of affection.
Bit of affection. Porker.
Not Porker. It's still someone's Dracula, but what is he? He's not Bram Stoker's Dracula. He is.
Pig. Ham.
Yeah.
Ham.
Just being affectionate to the pigs.
Ham lover.
Not lover. He's just in the same way you might show a dog that you like it.
Ham stroker.
Hamstroker's Dracula. That's
Ham
who it
stroker's
is.
Dracula. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, centuries-old vampire Count Dracula comes to England to seduce his barrister Jonathan Harker's grandmother. And the way he's going to do it, he's going to get himself onto Facebook, set in the modern day, and indulge in a way of getting someone's attention slash flirting with them, perhaps when Facebook first came around.
Oh, well. Grand poker.
Grand poker or nan poker, but
Nan
nan
poker,
poker's
either
Dracula
fine.
is correct. Yes.
Um, so, in this version, Ben, a centuries old vampire comes to London to play a trick on his lawyer by replacing all of his favorite foods with a high fiber but quite boring cereal in an amazing set of japes.
Bran
Yeah.
Whopper?
He's tricking him. He's playing some japes on him. He has ever such a laugh. He's like, "Oh, lovely bag of arrow. What's
Bran
this,
Joker.
Bran?
Bran
The
Joker. I
Bran
like
Joker's
Bran. I'll tell you
Dracula."
what, I like Bran Flakes. If I put my hand in a bag of Arrowbone and it was Bran, I'd be happy with that.
You'd be surprised, wouldn't you, if he had Bran joke?
I'd be
The Bran
incredibly
Joker's
surprised, yeah.
Dracula.
Okay, so centuries-old vampire Count Dracula comes to England to play a trick on a famous comicsman who
Famous comics.
invented loads of the best Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Play a trick on him by squirting him with a famous super style water gun.
Stan Stoker's Dracula.
Stan Stoker's Dracula, correct.
In this version of the film, a centuries old vampire transforms himself into a baby and travels to London so he can play a high stakes card game with other babies from their modes of transport.
Jesus. From their modes of transport.
Yeah, they all get together in the park and their mums all push them into a circle.
Pram.
And they play a card game. Yeah. Pram. Playing a high stakes card game for money.
Oh, poker. Pram poker. Pram poker's Dracula. Confused me because I already used poker, but a different type of context. Poker. Oh, what's this last one? I've written one word down for a last one. So how about centuries-old vampire Count Dracula comes to England to kill a load of blokes. Just kill a load of blokes, and rather he wants a nickname of something scary like Man of the Night, Vlad the Impaler. That's also a good one. But because he's just been killing a load of blokes, they call him the second word is something which would be used to describe someone who's died. Oh, he's only gone and a frog makes a noise as well.
Oh, Man Croaker. Man Croaker's Dracula.
Man Croaker. The Man Croaker has struck again. Even though croaked usually means you doing it, not someone doing it to you, but still.
Yeah, but he croaks them.
I'll give you that.
Okay, for my last one, Ben, I'm going to do Dracula, but it feels written by another author. So basically, a little bit of author trivia.
Oh, okay.
So this Dracula, having changed his ways, he actually doesn't want he uses his eternal life to build himself a wonderful confectionery manufacturer and offers a few children the chance, Mina Harker, the chance to come and have a tour of his lovely confectionery factory.
Is it Roald Dahl's?
Roald Dahl's Dracula, correct.
And the armor looks like lovely chocolate, so you can
lovely
have the armor chocolate. In it still.
Yeah, lovely chocolate rabbit.
Yeah.
Comes out, and that bit when he's like walking out of his castle, really frail, like Jonathan Harker when he's withered. He does a big forward roll, and he goes, ta-da! And
amazing.
Everyone comes to the factory.
Any more?
I mean, I can. No more authors. Okay, so in this one, Dracula, as a down and out boy who doesn't know about English society, rather than getting Jonathan Harker to teach him about it, he finds himself sent by a mysterious benefactor to learn about high society from a reclusive woman who was jilted on her wedding day.
Inclusive. Is it? Uh, is that Jane Eyre?
It's
Is it Pride and Prejudice?
no, it's Great Expectations,
Ah, sorry,
which
that's
would
good.
be
Far,
Charles
far
Dickens'
Charles Dickens.
Dracula.
Far too highbrow, incredibly highbrow in
Oh, it's
this.
a very
But
good book. You should read it. It's excellent.
oh yeah, well, we're gonna have to get around to it now. Uh, right. Should we rate the film?
Let's rate the film.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go on.
I think that maybe I've not given this film as much attention over the years as possible, or maybe even like not rated it as highly as I should. I've definitely seen it before, like more than once, but perhaps this was the first time I'd properly sat down and like just watched it uninterrupted. I think
Mm-hmm.
the last few times it may have been on TV, or maybe I like watched a DVD of it and like yeah. But this time I like really realized like what a good film it is and appreciated it for the the filmmaking style, like the cinematography is amazing. Every performance is amazing. The soundtrack's amazing. And sure, it is like a gothic love story as well as a horror film because obviously the creature effects are great as well, like the makeup effects. And it doesn't just it feels like a really pure sort of like story as well. Like it doesn't just go, oh, Dracula's a bad bloke, here's him killing loads of people. It's kind of like it's really layered the story. It's really like meticulous with the way it comes across. And I think Gary Oldman's performance is the one thing that drives that. Even though I think pretty much everyone is great, maybe not Keanu Reeves, but I think Jonathan Harker gets sort of forgotten as a character when he gets turned into Robert Kilroy Silk. But I think like it's got all the elements of like a great film and a film that I know I could easily rewatch again like a year down the line and still enjoy it for what it is. Um, and in comparison to like the other Dracula, like Hammer horror films and stuff, I don't know. I feel like this really understands the character. I know I read something that Francis Ford Coppola like got the whole cast and crew to like sit down and read the book around a table over the course of like
Like
two
a couple
days
of days, right?
before they shot the film. So it's like understands the source material, respects the source material, but also isn't afraid to like look beyond it. Because I think the stuff about Vlad the Impaler wasn't in the book as far that I've seen since. Um, so look beyond it and maybe give it a little bit of context and almost like, yeah, it's like make it a tragic love story where you're not kind of just thinking this horrible bloke that turns into a wolf and a bat is terrifying. I'm scared
And
of him.
rats, don't forget that.
And rats.
And
You kind
mist.
of you kind of in a way want him to succeed. I don't know about you, but I kind of felt a bit disappointed when he was dead. I was like, oh, oh, bloody hell, that's a bit of a
Yeah,
shame.
it wasn't so bad. I mean, he could have gone about it in a different way.
He could have gone about it in a different way.
You could have
You'd be
just
fuming.
said,
You just get home, right? You know what it's like when you go on holiday, right? And you get home after that,
yeah,
and I don't know, your bin's in the wrong place or something like that. You're like, what the fuck's been going on here? He gets home, all of his brides are dead, heads off,
just before he got back as well.
just before he got back, and mere seconds after he comes out of his coffin, throat
Stabbed.
slit, stabbed in the heart, fuming. Um,
Yeah, he could
I
have gone about it a different way. He could have said to Jonathan Harker, like, you're not going to believe this, but that woman who you're not married to, and by her own admission, you've only just kissed, she looks just a bit of honesty, actually.
yeah
She looks exactly like the reincarnation of my lost love. I'm about 400 years old, by the way, so ancient. Check this out. Look, no reflection in this mirror.
yeah no
I'm,
reflection, zero.
I'm honestly mad. I am. There's loads of stuff going on. I've got all these powers, all those monsters that you just saw. You
Yeah,
stay here and be slept off, not in a bad way, by all of these vampire women that I've got around here, and let me just go and see if Mina falls in love with me, giving me the chance to meet her and things like that. That's all I ask.
yeah. I just think as I
He
mean,
shouldn't have maybe done this stuff with Lucy. That's probably a bad
yeah.
reflects badly on him. He's not made the
But
best
still,
choices there.
I honestly think for everything it feels like it's like elite filmmaking, I would say. Like
Yeah,
you sometimes you can look past certain things because you're like, I respect the decision making of everyone involved here. So while that might not work 100% for me, it works in this version of the film. And yeah, it feels like, for me at least, like probably the definitive version of the story on film, just because it it feels like it just really takes care of all the characters involved, and it realizes the titular character, in a way that I don't think it's been done before or since. It's an A for me. I'm not going to say an A plus, but I think it's an A for me.
yeah, very good. I feel a bit similar to you, Ben. I think I might have dismissed it a little. Maybe when I first watched it,
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing it in the early '90s when I was playing original Doom on shareware. I think I saw it a little later, and then maybe then I was maybe a little bit short-sighted or a little bit snobbish because I was in the period of, oh, okay, the effects have dated a little, but not that much, if I'm honest.
No,
The
not that much at
practical
all.
stuff with the heads and the creatures and things like that, I think are incredibly solid. The
Hmm.
things that maybe look a little bit jarring is the superimposition of like the lighting effects and so on. But to
It's
be
almost got
honest,
like sorry, I was just going to say, I should have said this before, Andy. Apologies. It
sorry,
almost looks like it's stylized in places to look like a film from like the 40s or
yeah,
something. There's a bit where like Lucy is like lying on the bed and like her face is lit, and I was like, this looks like a screenshot from. And even like some of the transitions as well look incredibly like sort of 30s and 40s.
yeah,
So it understands what it's come from. It doesn't just go, this is a new version of it. It's like
yeah,
it still pays homage to those things. Yeah.
very, very true. So there's those things, and I think it might have been subject to me overlooking it at the time and failing to realize how much of a great adaptation this is. Again, like you say, how strong all of the choices were and how much love for the source material went into the making of this film, from crew, from cast. Like, it was clearly a really intensive process. They really obviously wanted to capture
Mm.
all those things about it. And I think it's worth the time they take over. You know about me, Ben, I can be incredibly quick to dismiss a film that isn't efficient with its time and takes more time than it needs to tell the story.
Mm.
I'd have, you know what, for a story this epic, I'd have let them sneak another half hour onto this and made it.
Yeah,
And if
totally.
they had
It
more they
almost
wanted
does
to
feel
tell on
like,
this one, like
yeah,
I would have had them do a little more. Maybe do something of the journey. Maybe like give us a little bit afterwards and in the end, maybe
yeah,
about, well, I don't need like a everything's tied up in a neat bow. I don't mind some ambiguity. If you follow the character of Mina Harker, obviously she's a major part of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen
yeah,
comic
of
or
course.
film series, depending on what level of quality you're
Yeah,
looking for. Um, but I think there's so much to enjoy about this film and the film, the way it was made,
yeah,
all of these things. So I'm going to join you on an A. The one thing I will say about this, though, is it has got me thinking about other versions of Dracula. And as I was watching, the only thing I couldn't separate, which is not a problem with the film, it is a problem with me, how much Dracula Dead and Loving It uses
yeah, yeah. I
this
know.
exact aesthetic and like the things. I cannot, I don't remember his name now. The guy from Ghostbusters 2 that plays Renfield, I
Yeah,
couldn't help but think of him every time. Um,
but still, like an adaptation or sort of like a parody of this film that doesn't like impact this film, your enjoyment of
no,
this film at all.
it doesn't at all. Like, in many ways, it just made me fondly remember that I might have to watch that film again quite soon.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a
Same.
bonus episode on it because I love it so much. But even when we were going through, because we naturally take a light-hearted approach to these things, and some things which you can laugh at and are a bit funny, because especially for a film like this that it plays it straight down the line.
Mm.
Sometimes it's harder to find humor in things that are deliberately funny, apart from saying, I enjoyed that, it was funny. Like, if you're looking at these in a slightly sided angle, there are some elements of ludicrousness or things that are funny about it, but it's an incredible, like, it's an incredibly made
Yeah,
film,
like
and,
it's very
one of my
it's,
favorite one of my favorite stories as well. It's inspired me. I might go back and read the book again.
yeah, it
Some
kind of made
great,
me
great
feel,
stuff.
made me think about that as well. Yeah, it's very over the top. It's very knowing, but it still kind of lands, doesn't it? It doesn't. It is dramatic, but
Yeah,
in the best sense of the
and
word. Yeah.
it's played completely straight. And I think things to mark out on that one. I don't dislike Keanu Reeves in this. I think his accent is what his accent is, and it's, maybe enough to give you a
Yeah.
wry smile, but it never took me out of it. I was never thinking at one
He's
point,
not. He's not as. He's as a character. He's not focused on enough
hmm.
for you to really take you out of it. He's kind of just there a bit and then appears a bit later. So
And Gary Oldman, I mean, for an
Gary
actor who's had
Oldman.
no shortage of incredible performances in his career,
Yeah.
this has to be an all timer, right?
Yeah. For
Such
like what is
versatility,
fairly
such
in his
like
career as well.
passion that he throws into it, and in some of the early scenes when he's speaking, I assume legitimately speaking a second language, right?
Yeah. And apparently, a vocal coach helped him lower his voice by like an octave, just so he could sound more convincing in the
More
dialect, I
Dracula-y.
guess. More Dracula, yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal work. Love the film. So glad we've covered it. I think
Hell yeah.
it's going to find its way into, especially now, I find when we actually watch this, not just sit and watch a film, but when we've also taken a couple of hours to talk about it as well, I
Yeah.
feel it really helps me cement what my position is. I think this
Yeah,
will
definitely.
now have a real strong position in, like, in the future, people saying, what's a great horror film? Like, it'd be a strong recommendation for anyone
Yeah,
who
yeah,
hasn't seen
definitely.
it.
Something something for everyone. There we go then. That is Bram Stoker's Dracula. Thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to current patrons. And thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music, Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Discord. Bloody everywhere. Next week we're doing Black Christmas. I think what we're going to do is like essentially it'll be a episode about the original, but then we're going to lean into the two remakes that we got as well. One in 2006, one in 2019,
17?
17, maybe. I'm not sure. Um, yeah. So it's gonna not like a triple bill, but we've done some sort of like original versus remake episodes. So kind of like that, I guess.
But we'll try
Um,
and triple stack it and see if
try
we
and
can
triple
talk about the
stack it a bit.
differences over
Yeah.
all of them. Depends how
Well,
many we can get to watch, but I'm confident we can do all three.
yeah. There we go then. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and thanks Andy for being a right horror dude. Glad to have you back.
Thanks for you being a right horror dude, Ben, while I was away. And I've listened to your episode while I was gone. Ever so good.
I'll tell you what, that's a good couple of episodes. These last two. Not saying it's not always good, because it is always good. But if you're going to recommend a horror film for anyone, well, how about recommending an episode of Horror Hangout to your friends? This one, last week's, all of them. Only 300 and so or so to catch up on.
Yeah, only a few to catch up on, and we've seen it. It's in the cards, right, Ben? You've announced it. I'm gonna finish the year with a bloody quiz. I'm hard at work on my questions.
Oh yeah. Can you believe it? Hopefully we'll have some more information about that next week. But looking forward to rounding off 2023 in style and
Yeah,
with a quiz victory.
yeah. Oh, and last shout out for any type of engagement or interaction with us. If there's something you haven't heard us talk about that came out this year that you think, certainly in your top lists of the year, and you think that it should be on the shortlist for ours, and you haven't heard us talk about it, get your recommendations in wherever you can find ways to contact us. There's something you think really needs to be considered for our top films of the year. That will be how we
Mm.
start 2024 with a look back over our favorites of 2023. So you have precious few weeks for us to catch up films that we haven't managed to see yet. Any recommendations, whether you are a film fan or you're a filmmaker and you're thinking, these guys would bloody love this film I'm making.
They
Get
bloody
it,
love it.
get
Do
it
it.
under our
Get in touch.
noses. Give us a chance to watch it. Honestly,
Touch.
recommendations are already always, always very welcome. Send them our way. We will try our best to get things watched for the year ends.
Awesome. Nice one. Festive films as well. Okay. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.
Bye for now. Bye.
Bye now.